Good afternoon, you diamonds. Welcome to Diamondsforever31 show. And it's Elizabeth Diamond with Lily and Franco, DeNicola today, September 27th, 2014. And I just lost my thought. Welcome, everybody. I hope you're shining brighter and brighter every day. So today is reference number 167 pound, and the last four calls we did is the preparation for the wave, the energy wave, this new different kind of energy wave coming in, started September 21st, and those are reference number 163, 164, and 165. And 166 is special. I was able to record the event that Franco, DeNicola, Sir James Fu, and Antonio Higgins put on in Canada on September 21st, and that was very awesome, very awesome. And I know Franco has the recording of that out too. So anyway, let's get started. I just want to give a thank you and shout out to iqdcalls.com, truthcall.com, dinargurunews.com, who puts the Diamond Show information on their website. I want to give a thank you out. Ashtar Command's been posting some calls too and some blogs for the Diamond Show, so that's great. And don't forget, we got Elizabeth Diamond YouTube channel. Go to YouTube and just put in the search bar. We got the 4 or 5 Diamond shows up, including one that's Franco, but it's not on my channel yet, but it's out there. That we did with Franco a while back, and I blogged them all so you could find that. We're going to eventually get all the Diamonds calls up, 167 of them, up on YouTube to get them out to the rest of the world. So, and the Diamonds with an S, forever31.blogspot.com. Email diamondsforever31@yahoo.com. And the recorded line to listen to the recordings on the phone if you want. Otherwise, I put the link on the blog. And there's a link on iqdcalls.com, 209-255-1099. Same PIN number, 883267 pound. And reference number, today's 167, and all the way up to down to 1. You can listen to, and this will be available right after the phone call today. Upcoming shows, I'm very excited. We have Raymond, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but he, not just him, but his father, and not just his father, but his grandfather, have been visited, literally face-to-face by 32 different ET species, our brothers and sisters. They've gone on ships, they've come there, and he has a Fab 4, he calls them, that visit him every 2 months and updates them. So he'll be on the show October 4th. I'm excited about that. And we have the good, awesome Franco and Julian call coming up. What date is that? That is, I'm excited about that. That's going to be October 25th. October 11th, Franco Antonio is going to come, and guess who? We got James Fu, November 29th. That's Thanksgiving weekend. Wow. And more in between. So awesome things coming up to awaken us and awaken the world and to learn who we really are. And literally, I think we're going into the action of who we really are. Are you excited yet? Anyway, let me get on here. Just a little bit of news. I usually try to do first 15 minutes news update of the world changes. I'm only going to bring in this today. I just want to update everybody on the ET front. I've been talking about Stephen Bissett. He's up there in Washington, D.C. They had the mock congressional hearings last year in front of congressmen and Senate who are retired. But now this is going to be the live show, guys. Let me just read this really quick. Congressional Hearing Initiative status. The Congressional Hearing Initiative will formally launch on November 5th. The DVDs will be shipped on November 1st. A substantial media blitz will begin on or about October 29th. A tweet email storm will be directed from PRG's Facts on Washington website. PRG Executive Director Stephen Bissett will be lecturing across Europe during September and October and building support for the Congressional Hearing Initiative, given that congressional tweets and emails can be sent from anywhere in the world. And I will be blogging on that. We want to get this out because approaches to the appropriate congressional committee members will begin on or around November 10th. The goal is to obtain a commitment to hold congressional hearings, live congressional hearings, you guys. That'll be on TV, because they show all those hearings on TV. A commitment to hold congressional hearings by January 3rd and actual hearings by January 31st. Key to the success of the most comprehensive effort ever to get full hearings for the scores of military, agency, political witnesses ready to testify. And there's a big one in Canada. He was high in the government at one time. Ready to testify will be the amount and depth of the media coverage for November 1st to January 31st, particularly mainstream news talk shows. Whoa. Professional inside Washington press consulting is essential to this outcome, and that is expensive. So anyway, it goes on. So let's get the word out, you guys, that we want this. Let's stand up and say, okay, we want this. It's time. By those tweets and email storm. And then one more on that front. This was just out September 26th. NASA prepares for extraterrestrial contact. A couple of months ago, top U.S. astronomers gathered in front for Congress to let know that extraterrestrial life exists without question. Their main argument was the size of the universe, emphasizing that there are trillions of stars out there, with 1 in every 5 most likely harboring an Earth-like planet. It's also important to keep in mind that planets do not have to be Earth-like in order to harbor life. You can read more about the story here. And then here's a quote. The number of habitable worlds in our galaxy is certainly in the tens of billions minimum. And we haven't even talked about the moons, and the number of galaxies we can see other than our own is about 100 billion. Seth Shostak, senior astronomer of California's SETI Institute. Okay, and then this time NASA and the Library of Congress have teamed up bringing together scientists, theologians, philosophers, and historians from around the globe for a 2-day symposium in order to discuss how to prepare the world for extraterrestrial contact, whether it be microbial or intelligent beings. Yeah. And then we'll just read this little part. We're looking at all scenarios about finding life. If you find microbes, that's one thing. If you find intelligence, it's another. And if they communicate, it's something else. And depending on what they say, it's something else. The idea is not to wait until we make a discovery, but to try and prepare the public for what the implications might be when such a discovery is made. I think the reason that NASA is backing this is because of all the recent activity in the discovery of exoplanets and the advances in astrobiology in general. People just consider it much more likely now that we're going to find something, probably microbes first and maybe intelligence later. The driving force behind this is from a scientific point of view that it seems much more likely now that we are going to find life at some point in the future. Astronomer, symposium organizer, and former chief NASA historian, Stephen J. Dick. So it goes on, and I'm going to blog this. Let me just play this 54-second clip. And this is all of the information I've provided below is probably old information. Okay. The United States alone, at least half of all Americans say that we're not alone in the universe. 50% of Americans already believe that there is some form of life on other planets, while only 17% think that there isn't. A quarter of Americans believe that intelligent extraterrestrial visitors have already come to Earth and have been doing so for a long time. And this is a astronaut. 54 seconds. Here we go.
There is abundant evidence that we are being contacted, that civilizations have been visiting us for a very long time. that their appearance is bizarre from any kind of traditional materialistic Western point of view, that these visitors use the technologies of consciousness. They use toroids, they use co-rotating magnetic disks for their propulsion systems. That seems to be a common denominator of the UFO phenomenon, and how they can work, manipulate time and space locally so that they can have their own anti-gravity propulsion and their own field of energy that's isolated, gravitational field, electrogravitational field that's different.
That was on the thrivemovement.com they're referencing. I want to tell you who this guy is. His name's right here. Dr. Brian O'Leary, former NASA astronaut, Princeton physics professor. So there you are, the update of the world news, the best positive news I could find. And of course, you know, our matrix, the propaganda domination world is crumbling every day, and they're having their three stooge effects too, where it's just obvious things that they're trying to scare us with are laughable. Anyway, thank you guys for helping us awake, huh? All right. I wanted to read this astrology because it's going to go into what we'll start out with Franco, and then we're going beyond Franco, if that's okay. This was by Carl Bordeaux, and he's very awesome in astrology. It says, astrology status for September 23rd, an October surprise, or a very surprising October. October's big spiritual evolutionary bang. Intro and recap. October marks an important threshold in the energy shift now occurring. I provided detailed information about this shift in September's astrology status on my special astrology post page somewhere. The first phase of the Pluto-Capricorn transit, which began in 2008, demolished defective political and economic structures. This transit appears to have entered a second phase. In this phase, the emphasis appears to be on destruction and release of flawed psychological patterns. We talked a lot about that with the preparation calls for the wave, and a lot of Franco stuff was in there. Specifically, the elimination of those patterns that supported or were supported by those deeply flawed political or economic structures. October, a major energetic threshold. We had become used to an energetic dynamic that indulges these false patterns. The consequences were mild, or they played out in slow motion. This was true even as Pluto demolished so many seriously flawed political or economic institutions. We are now entering an energetic environment that is unusually intolerant of lies, self-deception, and self-serving illusions. That's in our lives individually, you guys, in our families, in our counties, in our states, in our governments, in our world, in the earth. It is also hostile to buried secrets and defective psychological and behavioral patterning and the defective behavior that goes along with them. Swifter justice ahead. This new energetic environment will quickly reveal flawed patterns for what they are and expose their secret, hidden foundations within us. The penalty for perpetuating these flawed patterns and for continuing to act on them will be increasingly swift and, in some cases, rather harsh. October will intensify this new dynamic. Everyone high and low on all sides of all the issues will feel the pressure to play it straight. Over time, this in turn will have a leavening, moderating, corrective effect on personal as well as global economic and political affairs. A lot of bad actors will reconsider their questionable plans and expectations. 2 eclipses plus 3 oppositions to retrograde Uranus. Clash of the higher and lower selves. Several oppositions to Uranus are interspersed with 2 eclipses during the period under discussion. 2 eclipses, you guys. I include some data from September to round out the energetic picture. Mercury opposite Uranus retrograde, September 13th. Moon trine Pluto on the fall equinox, September 22nd. Sun enters Libra, the fall equinox, September 22nd. Pluto stationary direct close to the equinox, September 22nd. Okay, Sun opposite Uranus retrograde, October 7th. Total solar eclipse in Aries, October 8th. And we talked on one of the phones just recently. That October 8th eclipse actually lands on wee morning hours for most everybody, except the other side of the world. Venus opposite Uranus retrograde, October 11th. Partial lunar eclipse in Scorpio, October 23rd. 2 eclipses. Let me read the rest of this later. So, Franco, come on in. Star 6, how are you?
Hello. Am I still on?
Yeah, you're there.
Okay, great.
Are you doing okay?
What's that?
Are you doing okay?
I'm doing pretty good, yes.
Great.
Always thrilled to connect with you and all your listeners to play some more and to bring us to a state that is more natural for us, which is playing and seeing everything as an opportunity to learn and transcend and just become a grander aspect of self. I mean, it's always a blast to do that.
Right. Well, I know you just did that, the September 21st conference, and there's a lot of people that attended around the world via website and in live. I think you had like 100 or more people there live, correct?
Yes, we had 108 people present in the room, and then we had a few hundred. I guess it was what we were recording live right at that moment was about 123 online. But then after that, there was a lot more that went out because people couldn't be on at that time, but they were able to access
absolutely
the event. And thank you for what you've done, making it available for the people that did not or could not get online, but were able to access through the telephone. So that there was a reach there too. So thank you for doing that part of it.
It was a phenomenal day for all of us on the phone line, and we had lots of discussion in between. It was just phenomenal. Oh my goodness, we were just totally changed that day. So thank you. And did you enjoy? How was it there for you live?
For me, it was great. I mean, when we get there, we arrived there. The energy felt a little heavy to start off with, but as we started and got through a few little technical issues on the live stream part, but once we got that sorted out, which didn't take long at all, things started to shift. So it was very energetically powerful, if you want to call it that. You could feel the transformation. You could also, because, I mean, James Fu was there too, so, you know, he held the space himself also, and as we were doing the work, we saw a lot of older energies and that people were holding on to, and the one that was very specific and very prevalent throughout was sadness, and a bit of despair was coming through and so forth. And again, it's just because, you know, there's that phase that comes in when people are starting to awaken. They start to realize, you know, that the world is quite not what, you know, they've imagined, or at least they were in their sleeping state. And at first, you know, if the consciousness is not at a certain level and you understand that this is a process, first of all. Second of all, that, you know, whatever's playing out, even negative parts of it, is still, you know, there for a very specific design experience for us to move through. So when we start to awaken and you start to see that the world is quite different through your eyes, because now you're starting to get a higher understanding, you may feel that, okay, this world really is a mess, you know, first of all. Second of all, it'll never change. And third of all, it's like, what am I going to do with it? I'm kind of stuck here type of thing. And that's the first part, and that was kind of the energy that was coming out in the consciousness, the older consciousness around that. But as we started to shift it, it started to feel lighter and letting that part go, so that people were feeling much more renewed and really, in a way, excited to enter this new adventure, because it is a new adventure. And even the energies coming in was there to actually accentuate anything that needed to be cleared for people, or to be brought forth, or even to stream much more powerfully from, you say, even past lives, from lineages, from parts of your life that somebody may have blocked out completely and didn't want to relive, or be able to even access it. Stuff like that starts to, and it didn't all happen all at once, so it wasn't like the 21st to get hit with it. And now it was impactful for the start, because that was the beginning part, but it's going to carry on. The other part is the energy was really designed to uplift other people that have already done a lot of work for themselves in clearing old programs and so forth, and really needed a boost in a way to be able to maneuver through all the different poopery of energies coming through, plus all the energies that people are emitting, and then all the different role players, like you were just saying in your newscast, the various roles that are played on different levels, governmental and otherwise, that their energies, their consciousness and so forth, that is being streamed. So to how to manage through there without getting caught up and wrapped up in, say, the news or the whatever's playing out. Because in a way, whatever's playing out, all the intensities, the warlike mentality, the threats and all the stuff that's going on, plays two roles. The one role is actually intensifies whatever fear that people have, if they're still very active in that, so they kind of see themselves in a world that's just going to fall apart and that they may not even make it. Mm-hmm. And the other part of it actually, when it starts to play out, depending on what side of the wave you are, or in a higher vibrational part of yourself where you're more conscious and have cleared a lot of programs, you see very clearly the game. You get to see how things are, we'll use this for lack of better words, not real or false, in a sense. And you could also see it how it's a house of cards in a way, like it's just a little game that we're holding together, that the game is actually easily transformed by just choosing not to participate or just letting that game come to an end. And so that kind of is uplifting on that end. So when you're seeing what's happening on the planet at this point in time, you can see it and say, well, okay, great, what an interesting intensities and all the chaos and everything else that's playing out, and all the emotions that are coming up for people, even with judgment of one another, about each other's countries or their religions or anything of that nature. The games that are people playing, saying, well, okay, you need to cooperate with us because we need to enter this other country and do this and that. So you're getting countries that are... so you could actually see the game much more clearly in a way, but some other people will see it that things are getting worse. And that's exactly the part they need.
That's a good point. Yeah. Oh, I'm glad you made those 2 points. When James Fu introduced the 852 frequency, it's been out there, but he brought it into the conference. Yeah. Boy, that was intense. I felt that all the way through me. I mean, vibrations and shaking inside of me. That's the only way I can describe it. I had to take blowout breaths. It was really good. I felt that. That was very intense. So, I've been to conferences and stuff like that, and I just want to ask you, after the conference, the day or two after, usually I get lots of downloads and more insight and revelations, I call it. Did you experience anything like that, or more information, or just,
Not myself, no. In regards to it, actually, just to give you an idea, prior to the 21st, for a few weeks, there was my work that I do behind the scenes that is, governed by the soul, became intensified immensely, and there was so much being prepped up for it that it just was insane. And the last week before, it became very almost unbearable, if you want to call it that, when you're perceiving it on a mind level, even though the mind may have been expanded. But a couple of days before that, it it almost like it was a retrieval. I mean, the stuff was going on, but it became lighter. So since then, and then, of course, the 21st, actually, when I was there that morning, not really knowing exactly how it was going to feel, because Dave Thru was, was impacted by it, and he knew, and that's why we were kind of, I asked him, are you okay to do it that day? Because he does feel the new energies, and there's a shift that happens in his body, and sometimes he won't be able to function properly. But in essence, he did get impacted, but the energy shifted after we got started after a while, and then it carried on at the end of the day. But for me, I felt much lighter there, and I noticed that the energy was flowing much more freely. And since then, it's actually been feeling lighter. It's almost like I don't have as much to do that creates such intensity.
Yeah.
A lot of the work before created the polarity part where, it watched the maximization of a lower state, and then you introduce a higher state. Mm-hmm. Well, it seems like the energy is done, or the prep work, but then the energy has been doing it now, so that the work that I have to do is actually lightened up in that capacity. So I've felt that, and then it's very welcomed on my end, because it's really allows me to function much better in the physical form when that's not going. Now, that doesn't say that, physically that my soul is actually with me all the time, because in essence, for the last few days, it hasn't been. And
it has been or hasn't? Not been.
Hasn't been, and even just starting the show, it only stepped in after you finished your news, which was great, because at that point, I'm going, this will be interesting. But
take his headache away too. So
yes, and it did lighten it up. So
what you just described to me is two things. One, I'm just taking it all and putting it in a nutshell. One is you described the transitioning that we went through, and what you said, you felt the energy was intense like 4 days before, and it lightened up. Would you think maybe that was the universe saying and encouraging you and those that, yes, these could be very intense, but look what you're doing. You're helping to mix it in a smoother mix and transform it and bring it through?
Yes, yes.
Cool.
You could say it that way, because it did feel that this was necessary so that the impact wouldn't be so shocking, per se, for everybody to go into a spiral. So that there was so much work led up to it, and then you could see after it was done that you could actually feel the lightness. And even though that energy wave came in and it's building up, it's going to continue building up. It's a 3 months is basically going on to the 21st of December, just prior to the Christmas.
21st of December, you say?
Yes.
Okay.
But also this particular frequency that's come through, this energy that's come through, and the consciousness wrapped with it, actually will last 15 years, because it is actually a platform that it's building. So
a foundation. A foundation it's building. This is like a solid foundation this wave is building, so other energies can be built upon it. We integrate into this, and then we get more newer and even brand new energies. Wow.
Yes. And what you were saying,
would you say this foundation, this wave, is the foundation to we'll just say the new stuff, the new world? We'll say it like that.
Yes, it's a foundation that actually allows us to build on a new platform. So in essence, if all of a sudden we decided to all work in integrity, that's going to be our new foundation, right?
Right.
The foundation is actually built within us, within all the individuals on the planet. So like even what you were saying about the astrological reading about October, that is part of this wave, and it's actually reaching another pinnacle where it's going to become very difficult, like you said, to be able to not be in integral, but not also, not being your truth, in a sense where you're going to create false or lies or anything of that nature. It's going to become so difficult, and then the support mechanism around it, where people will cover each other's ass, sort of thing, if you want to use that word, won't be there, because people go, no, I'm not going to get entangled in that. So they'll be standing alone, but also exposed in a way, so that it's it's so visible that people will not just go, oh, that's what it is. What they'll see is what's playing out, and say, oh, okay, that's not what the case is, and I've put a lot of value in this particular role player here, and I no longer need to. Now I start to connect with my own self and really know what resonates and what actually is the truth here, rather than the game. And the thing is, too, this is the big thing that comes up with all of this, is that we get to see how it's an actual game. Most
within
people,
this foundation, right?
Yeah.
Of energy. Mm-hmm.
But the foundation also has another key component. The foundation is that we are one, first of all. Second of all, the foundation is that we are completely free to create whatever we choose. It's no longer limited. It's just that the creation will not be ego-generated and won't be from the old modality that I need to have the stuff to make myself see myself being whatever, better than someone
else. So there's two things going on: the old world crumbling in us and around us, and the new world building in us and around us. Exactly. Letting go and gaining happiness, and letting. There's two examples, for instance, I can think of in my own life. I let my driver's license expire. It's been a year and 2 months, I think. But that's okay. I don't want to be part of the system anyway, whatever. So I said, I'll just leave it alone. Well, I was actually forced to get my driver's license because my bank asked for my ID, and I wanted to open new accounts. So they wouldn't let me until I did it. So what would took one trip to get your renewed driver's license? I left the bank, went to one place. They don't do the driver's license thing there. I went all the way clear across town, 20 miles. They were closed because of water main break. I went all the way the other side of town, 20 miles, and I had to take the test because my license expired over a year. I took the test without studying. I missed it by one, and then I had to come back the next day all the way across town to take it. I passed it, missed it by only one. But the thing is, what took one step took me a lot, and it's like you could get really, really mad and frustrated within that. But I remembered, okay, go with the flow, just enjoy it, And I was supposed to be on my lunch break, half an hour. I was gone 4 hours. Oh, my goodness. And then the other example is, for the very first time, Franco, I worked for a PCA company, personal care attendant, where people take care of you in your home so you can stay in your home, help them dress and bathing and all that so they don't have to go to a nursing home. Well, we're not licensed with the state. We're a certificate with the state. There's like 600 little PCA companies. For the very first time, guess what? The state is going to do on-site visits, surprise, to all of these little companies. And I know I've been in home care a lot. There's a lot of little companies that open up, don't even bother to follow the state rules of all the paperwork, and and they just, get the money or whatever. But the state's going to go, there's going to be feathers flying in that little rigmarole of the visits. I mean, talk about truth and justice coming out. I'm not saying that the state has the true thing, but, they got to follow the rules. There's going to be lots of, just in that little world, there's going to be lots of unraveling and either truth or, you can't lie thing, you know what I mean? Yeah, so.
Exactly.
Those are just two examples. Now, really quick, I want to talk, because I've been wondering about this. Your soul came in. Now, I know one time you said you were the only one on this planet like you are. Can you just tell us again why that is? And I believe you. I just want to, is it because all of your multidimensional selves are healed and balanced, or what? I just wanted to ask.
Well, the way it works is I kind of took on how can you call it, an assignment, okay? And when I say I'm talking about the soul.
Right.
So this change that's going on was out, how can I put it, was outlined some time ago, and it came to a point that this was going to take place. How it was going to look exactly was not clear because of the fact of depending on the path and the state of the collective for the planet Earth. So when it became important that someone had to come in, or a soul had to come into the planet to maintain a certain frequency, but also at the same time upload and be fully integrated within the human experience, and also maintain that higher consciousness, or that basically the code and the operating system for the new world that's coming through, which is basically our natural designed world that has been upgraded. So the soul itself basically is a combination of 48 fragmented souls that have united. Now, each of these souls have completed this journey of enlightenment. So it actually had gone through the process of complete forgetfulness and have a multitude of lives, and they're not all from planet Earth, because there's a variety of them. So in essence, it's had, lives on different planets, thousands and thousands. I mean, if you take the 48, we're talking, 60, 70,000 different incarnations, if you want to, somewhere around that it's done on various planets. And of course, so each of the souls is basically, as they've completed the enlightenment process, became non-form and was ready to unite as the other pieces of it completed, other fragmentations completed. Because each one of us, everybody on the planet right now is a half a soul. So basically, a half of the last split, you have a twin soul, which is a duplicate with a signature. Now, once your soul, or any particular soul, is completed, then it's ready to unite. When the other half is completed, the two become one. So the two identical signatures become one. But you're made up of one other soul family, first level of soul family, which again has another 23, or in this case 22 fragmented souls. And as each one of those combine, and all of them have become one particular soul, then all of those combine, and then they become one major oversoul, which is basically one soul, but they still belong to the next cluster. So this particular soul that's in my physicality has done 2 layers of the combining, so it's made up of 48 fragmented souls, all of them fully achieved enlightenment on the various incarnations. Now, this type of soul would be not taking on form, because that would be very difficult to do, because again, it's an enlightened soul.
Wow.
So it also operates in a completely different vibration and frequency. But however, it knew that it needed to do this, so in essence it chose to do an adjustment and to come here and have a human experience. It's not typical human experience, but it has a certain level of typicalness within it to come here and do what it needed to do, which is basically shift consciousness, raise the vibration, but at the same time also to upload the codes for to bring the planet back to go up to 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and up to 9th dimensional consciousness, but at the same time also to reactivate the different parts that have been, put asleep or dormant or turned off at various parts. Now, that was the one soul that came. Now, there was another soul of that similarity, which is from the same soul family, which is the next cluster, that came some 2,000 years ago to do similar, however, only to do the encodement slightly different. Now, my encodement is oneness, which is basically uniting. And when I say that's the soul's input, it's not Franco. Franco is just another physicality. Of course, the physicality has been altered somewhat to function on the planet, but at the same time, it is just a physicality. It still has, I wouldn't say exactly, but a lot of similar human traits to it. It's not adhered to the traits, and it's not defined by the traits by any means. There was a stage of 44 years that it did, embody more of that to really get into the human experience. However, it always had the kind of, let's put it this way, it's a simulated human experience with a simulated ego, but it is still in a human physicality that operates quite similar to other human.
So it's in a human body, or a different kind of being body?
Well, it's a human body that's modified somewhat. Okay.
That's on Earth?
Yeah.
Or in a different dimension on Earth?
Well, it's on Earth and on different dimensions at the same time. So
okay. And do you know where it is? Or have you met it or?
It depends on which part you're talking about.
Oh, okay. Well, I bring that forth. That was a great definition because, that's basically our path too, right? And it makes sense that one person, it only takes one. It makes sense that when you're looking at energy, that there needs to be, like we'll just say, one domino to start it all. So you were like basically you picked to be that domino, to come and be that vibration, so we can all start uplifting our vibrations from dense energy to the less dense energy, and that's what we're talking about today, the waves and stuff.
Now, to add to that, there's the nucleus or the catalyst, the main catalyst, but then there are on the planet too, scattered all over the place. Basically, at this point in time, there are other souls that have they're not fully unified souls by any means, but there are souls that are just at the verge of enlightenment. There are souls that we can call superhumans, but then there's also souls that have been, that have come here very specifically from non-fragmented state, meaning that they've actually came as as one complete soul that did not split, but also hasn't had any previous life incarnations on planets, period, that are here. There's also souls that are coming from other planets that have never been on planet Earth, but have taken on a human form, but their basic fundamental imprint and the vibration that they work on still maintains a certain level of vibration frequency that resembles the other planets' incarnations that they've had. So
it's not like you're the...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, go ahead.
So it stirs everything up, and their position and all. In key, that I play one particular role, but there's three other in other quadrants of planet Earth that are not unified, but at the same time fully close to enlightenment, that we're streaming to one another. I don't know them on a physical level. I've never met them. I don't even know where they're positioned exactly, in essence, but at soul level it does, and I just don't have that information that has been streamed in my mind. It won't give it to me, or I never really asked it per se. Right. But in essence, it's not putting importance there. It's interesting how my soul, and even a lot of other people's soul, will do is a lot of times the mind is curious, wants to know a lot of stuff, but the soul says it's not important, and it's not for you to go into a mind spin here, trying to define things, because the ego does a real nice job for that for most people, because the moment you get labeled with something, even if you're saying, well, you're a star being, you notice how they all change and they start to play a different role or emphasize that, and then the ego has a real party with stuff like that. So in a lot of cases we're not even told about it. We just know that we're here to do something and we're doing it, right? Right. So
you're like a purple domino, and then there's pink, blue, red, polka dotted, other dominoes all around that helped us start this shift way back, we'll just say December 21st, 2012, with their energy that comes from their being, in a nutshell.
Yes.
Is that okay? Just say that way?
And the thing is, they've been here a lot longer in most cases, and they've already been doing work behind the scenes and in preparation for that. But what's happened, it's like this. We have this beautiful crystal. On the 21st of December 2012, it was just the perfect alignments have occurred in such a fashion to actually ignite them.
To do what?
Just ignite them. So the actual crystal now starts to vibrate.
Oh, to ignite, to start on fire.
Yes.
And start the fire up. Uh-huh.
And then this whole, if you could actually see it, you might be able to, even by closing your eyes, you could just see all these little sparkles lighting up in different positions all over the world,
Yes.
And it starts to create such a beautiful, colorful, you see almost like rainbows, but it's like a platform of lights, which are just enhanced spectrums of light that just starts to ripple throughout the whole planet.
Wow.
And that started
on December 21st, 2012. And we'll look back and know that's the starting date. We don't necessarily know that now. A lot of people, some people do, but we will look back. Wow.
No, everybody knows to a certain degree, but most of it is unconscious because of the fact that it's really hard for them to grasp, especially, you have to look at it for people. People need the mind. See, the mind gets involved in a lot of things, okay? What happens is people need proof. The proof has to be more than black and white. It has to be so colorful, so undeniable, and even then it could find excuses around that.
It has to be tangible in their life, like hands-on or eyes-on, whatever.
This is
experiential.
This is why the people that live in left brain mentality, that is everything is analytical and everything has to be proven 10 times over, and then that might not even be enough. The scientists and so forth, that's why it took so long to get to a point where scientists have actually said, okay, this is not disputable anymore. Yes, our state of consciousness actually affects matter. It actually affects how things operate. Our state actually can, even if you took a cell from somebody's body and separated it from thousands of miles, the state of somebody's cell or somebody's physicality that cell came out of, because it carries still the signature in there, could be thousands of miles away, and it will also vibrate and register the same way as the embodied that other cluster of cells, being somebody's physicality, will experience. So you blow your nose and it has a lot of your DNAs and cells and components of it. Your state is being reflected in that what you may even thrown in the waste, but it's now going into the dump, and it's actually changing the energy in the dump. So you could just to give you a little idea. So scientists are starting to say, wait a minute, even our state of being is actually giving us different results on tests, and that took a while, but it had to be proven 10 times over, and then still it's metaphysical, yes, but we don't understand it completely, but now we can't deny it to the same degree.
Right, and that's where we're going into even heavier nowadays.
Yes. Yeah. So what's happening is, what you just said earlier, is that people may not be conscious of it. They know something's going on, but it's going to become much more clearly as we go along, because the dots start to connect in their mind. The dots are already been connected.
It's going to float up from their subconscious mind where they don't to their conscious mind. And right?
It's like even your own experience, Elizabeth, is that how many things have you experienced, over the last, especially the last year or two, where, it seemed a mystery to you at one point, or something that wasn't even, acceptable.
Or understandable.
Yeah, it's like, wow, hey, this makes not only total sense, I get it. And you see much more of the coincidences and synchronicities and all the other parts that are all interconnected of the same information.
Well, and I want to say, what you saw described on December 21st, 2001, the engine starting up, or the fire being lit, I described it as that. You saw the lights. Do you know what fire does, Franco? Why I call it fire?
Okay, what does it do it for you?
Fire changes the nature of something, and that's exactly what's happening to us. It's changing our nature back.
Exactly.
Would you agree?
Beautiful. Yes, absolutely.
Isn't that cool?
Absolutely.
Glory. The fire turned on, you guys. December 21st, 2012. Wow.
And the thing is, the beauty of all of this is that it got started there, but each one of these waves come in, it stimulates it more. It actually adds another component to it. It stimulates not only more consciousness, but it also brings in another spectrum of light. It also creates alterations within our physical form, our mind pattern. And you said this right at the beginning, where there's there's more and more disruption of patterns that are occurring in people's minds, in their habitual states, in their, addictions or any of that nature. Each time it is creating a disruption. And then of course, at some points, the mind may turn around and feel going crazy because it can't grasp on anything that it makes sense, because what used to make sense is breaking down. It is being, challenged left, right, and center, but at the same time, the pattern of thought is changing. So the mind's going, wait a minute, this used to be A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Now it's like A, well, where's the rest? I got a bit of Z here, and I got a bit of, M here. Where's the consistency that I'm familiar with? And it's not there.
So we have to go through that process, what you just described, but we're going through a fast process now. Faster and faster and faster. It's getting faster. Yeah. Now I want to make a comment and one more question, and then Lily, you wanted to come in and ask a question. I just want to give you I thank you, Franco. I'm very humbled to have stumbled upon you to come to the Diamond Show way back when I heard you on Missy's show. When you were talking, everything, all these puzzle pieces were coming together for me for what I've already learned with some things. So thank you. I appreciate you, and I thank you for all your hard work.
You're welcome, and thank you for what you're doing, for being the amazing you that's doing all that you're doing to get not only the information out, but even shifting yourself and emanating that throughout everywhere that you're going.
Yeah. So this is a great ride. Okay. All right. So here's the question. I don't know. How can I formulate it? Oh, wait. I'm just speaking from me, and I know others. It's like people like you, Franco, we're learning from, and our own lives, our own research, and we've come a long way since December 21st. I now know that we're one, we're a collective consciousness, we're all from God, we're all the same energy, and we're changing back into our natural, supernatural selves. And, I'm just saying, maybe I don't, but I feel like, okay, I know the mystery, I know the whole story, the puzzle, and now the mystery's taken away. It's now like, oh, no, it's not fun anymore. I'm just saying. So, I know we know it now. Now where? That makes sense as I'm saying it. Now we're on top of the roller coaster. We're going into doing the action of knowing what we learned. I don't know. Do you get my question? Now what, right? Now what? And that will lead into Lily's question. Now what, Franco? Now what do we have to look forward to from this foundation wave and beyond? I know 2015 will be in the beginning of that, and the very end of 2014 we're going to be in fifth dimension.
Yes, the actual activational point is about the 15th of March of 2015. It was supposed to be near the beginning of January. It got delayed slightly to allow these other integrations of frequencies and to give other souls a little bit more of a chance to get on the page, right? The other thing is that there's a new encodement that was put in a few months ago that would actually, stepping into the fifth, originally was designed that it would not support third at all, zero. No.
Wow.
But in essence now, allocation has been done to allow third at a certain level to be able to still coexist while the fifth is being integrated. But
and I say one word about that. That's love, right, Franco?
Yeah.
That's love. Yes.
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
So
thank you for letting us know.
Yeah, that's the part there. But at the same time, what are we looking forward to? I'm telling you, it's besides the roller coaster part and all the changes that are going to go, creating and experiencing ourselves completely renewed, completely new. Actually, it's not even renewed because it's actually we're in the process of completely redesigning the human experience and our world. We have an amazing ride and opportunity as we move forward, not only using higher consciousness, but also to actually get acquainted with our bodies. We do not really know our bodies. We don't know the capacity of it. We don't know the capacity of our own mind. We don't have we are not using the capacity of our communication through our soul, but also, which is basically essence itself on our own specific journey, but we don't even have access or to the capacity of what we can access through all our other brother sister souls. As we are going in, we are reconnecting with everything that is. So that means you're not only living an isolated physical form that you are actually connecting and utilizing other people's experiences. Now, not the experience that reflect the old 3D, but the experience of the nuggets, the beautiful higher consciousness that was gained through that, and also its own access point, which we can now start to utilize as part of our own and really expanding ourselves.
Wow.
Our bodies being retooled, retuned in a way so that we can, no longer feel in a dense body, no longer feeling in a limited, poor, lower vibrating, operating physical form that is, rigid and goes through what we can experience or call illness, or creating in our physical form that we are not able to transform or maintain or even step out of the pattern of aging or whatever else. So there's a lot of different components brought into that. So when it's retooled, the capacity to shapeshift, to teleport, to connect, so that there is no words that have to be communicated. There's no language barrier to be able to connect with all our brothers, sister souls. Imagine walking down the street. Of course, it's going to be very different, but to be in amongst our brothers, sister souls, and know and be able to communicate and share without any barriers whatsoever. To be able to, in essence, live a world, of course, no longer with polarity or the idea that we have to have money, that we have to struggle, that we have to earn, that we have to, do this to learn our way, to earn our wings, just to really be the essence of yourself. Being part of that creation of that world, to be part of seeing that transformation, because the journey in itself, besides arrival point, because there's never an arrival point, but it's different plateaus of arrival, if you can say that. But the journey amongst all of that, while you're going through that is all. We haven't even touched the surface in that part of it. And it's just amazing what we're going to be. Some people have said to me a lot of times, I'm getting tired. We're going to get to a certain point, I'm going to know my stuff. I'm going to know, okay, we're one with this, with that. But now to live it, to actually be part of it on so many levels, that's the part that gets exciting. But as you start accessing that, as your energies support that part, that tiredness that you may have felt, or that, because the tiredness is really about being on the same old pattern and never moving forward, it starts to dissolve completely. And there's a new, renewed essence of play that comes about, where all of a sudden there's all this excitement. It's like, now, wow, I'm back here. Now I don't have the limits anymore. I could see all the capable potentiality. And then at the same time, if you want to experience something outside of this body, you have the capacity to do that very easily. So all of this is unfolding as we go along.
So we'll be living it in 2015. I think we're actually starting it now. There's lots of testimonies I've heard. One gal's hearing music. She's hearing different songs. Mm-hmm. And maybe she'll come in and ask you about that. I experienced visions and looking into something, different realms. And, it's already, everything's happening at once, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. That's what you've been explaining.
That's basically what we're doing, is accessing. And, the thing is, you've made a very good point, because many, many people are already getting a glimpse of it, but they're also diving into it, bits and pieces of it. Yes, they may be coming back to this part of the planet or this state just to create some completion within themselves and to facilitate other aspects of themselves while they're doing the completion. But they're getting a taste of all of that. And it's just amazing, because even people that are doing it through substance, people doing it through meditation, some people are just doing it, it just happens to them. They're just getting all these glimpses. So they're hearing other tones. They're accessing other music. They're accessing other feelings and energies that they haven't been really accustomed to or have had that. These are all glimpses of that other state of ourselves that we are embracing. Yes, as we move forward, we get more and more of it. We become more and more engaged in it. We start to feel more and more of it and become part of it. And then we're unfolding it each moment as we're moving along.
Okay, let me ask you this. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being that we're, some are accessing it now, just starting, and some have before that. But And I know different people, everybody's different and unique. They go different stages. So we'll just say it's a 1 now. At the beginning of 2015, where would the access of naturally coming into it be from a 1 to 10 scale, if it's 1 now?
By 2015, it'll be a 4.
Be a what, 4?
4.
Wow, we're going fast. Fast and furious.
Yes.
Fast and loving.
Not across the board, but on the people that are accessing, they're at that point, yes. They'll be entering into that. It's actually going to feel quite a bit different, too, when we're going into the 2015. 2015 is going to be a really, another pivotal point, because we're entering into fifth dimensional consciousness. We're going through an integration process, which, the planet itself and then the energies that will reflect it will also go into that. So basically by the third month, even the hertz of the planet will hit 15 hertz, sorry. So, there's all of that is coming in. So
yeah, let's look on the other side of it too. So by the first 3 months of 2015, and you said collective consciousness, whatever, agreed that third density was not going to be anymore, but we're giving them grace. There's grace period. The ones in third and the beginning of fourth, on the other side where they'll be pushed to hopefully, let go of things, what intensity would that be at the beginning of the 3 months in 2015 from 1 to 10?
It's an elevated level of discomfort.
4.
Discomfort in a sense of nothing feels good anymore.
Would that be 4 too?
What's that?
Or more? Would that be a 4 for them too, or more?
That's a good question.
Oh.
That one's coming more like a 2.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. That's loving. That I'll go with that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Then that's still really intense.
Well, yes, it is. It is, especially when we've been in a sleep of 0. 2 is still quite impactful. I mean, there's a gentleness to all of this too. I mean, we're not here to blow things up in a sense of people just popping here left, right, and center. And I know at some point that was kind of okay. We don't have time. We need to do this, but there's been a reconsideration, and it's been a little bit more gentle, even though the chaos and everything else in our own lives and everything around us is, intensifying. But it's not there to intensify to bring negativity up. The negativity comes up only for the fact of the old progress. But then as we transcend it, it's actually welcomed. I mean, how many people see the chaos that's going on the different structures and are celebrating within themselves, going, yeah, I mean, you're probably feeling it yourself. Yes, things collapse. Oh, yeah, that's awesome. Rather than, oh, my God, my world's going to fall apart. Right. It's
like we're finally here. Oh my God! I mean, and he stepped into it. So, but still, there's still room, even for those set statistic numbers. We'll just say there's still room for pliability to go up or down, right?
Yes.
Or none of this is not set in stone, right? But it's not going to slow down way down anymore. Correct?
No. There is. The thing is, it's not even about time, but it's about all the alignments that are taking place. I mean, we are, as it's moving along, the sequences will start to, the sequences are already, but the sequences are aligning in a way that new codes will come in. So in essence, it will seem like a sense of urgency because of the fact that we have limited time, but in actual fact, what's happening is the intensities are making it feel that way, because we are spiraling into this new state of being and new creation. So regardless, you're either on board or not. So that's what the other part of this energy is, and I didn't bring it up totally, but that came in on September 21st is to facilitate people to go one way or another at this point. So go into the depth of it so that you can actually resurface from it, or make that depth go so deep that it actually allows you to choose to leave at the same time, but at the same time also that depth will actually elevate others because others will see the polarity as part of the experience. It's kind of hard to explain it all, but in a way it's got a lot of magnificent work behind it, thought, I guess you want to call it that.
Right.
You want to call it on a higher level of creation than our mind could put together.
So everybody give yourself a hand clap, man. We're doing it. We're really doing it. We're there, and we're taking the ride. And even the ones that are on we'll just say the other side, getting, like inside the wave, give yourself a hand clap too, because you're doing it, because you're going on the other side, or you're wherever you're going to go. Wow. So
bravo for everybody.
Huh?
Bravo for everybody.
Bravo, you guys. Take a drink in your hand of glory bliss. Let's toast. Toast it up. Drink it down. Take your drink. That'll help your headache, Franco. Wow. I shouldn't have done that. I'm going to talk. Woo! Okay. So, Lily, did you want to ask a question?
Yeah, I think Franco actually kind of answered it in his explanation, and because my question was, what does 5D look like? And you described it pretty well in terms of energies and shifting. We're going to discover what our bodies are really, truly capable of, and we're going to have a nudging, and we're going to be able to teleport and understand each other without using words, and I guess telecommunicate, psychically communicate. I do a little bit of that in terms of phone calls and whatnot. I'll call somebody, and I was thinking of you. Mm-hmm. So I do that a lot. But it brought me to when you were describing the foundation that we're establishing right now, like what we're coming out of, the 3D. It brought up a lot of questions for me in regards to, okay, we're fully, as a soul, we're fully responsible for everything that happens. What we assign good, bad, okay, technically it's not really polarity, it's just, we're perceiving it as polarity, it's just energy. Mm-hmm. But if someone else is, let's say, like when it comes to licenses and driver's all those things, and we're in this matrix of how we handle things or how we have to live or coexist with each other based on all these other things. And yet we're laying this foundation and we're responsible, then from a gentle responsibility point, what I'm getting is that we're truly responsible to go with the change energetically, even though there might be some resistance based on non-understanding of the change based on our physical irritations. Something's going on. We can't quite put our finger on it, but we're like slightly disturbed, uncomfortable. So am I explaining that? Are you following what I'm trying to say? So for somebody who's not understanding that their body is reorienting itself based on these solar changes, soul changes, to shift molecularly with the new dynamics of going into 2015, how could we either explain it to them or describe it in a way that that could be like less painful? And because, in my mind, the best thing to do is just, embrace change. That's one thing that's guaranteed, and that's change. So jump on the bandwagon of, hey, what else is possible? And practice, like a friend of mine and I, we are practicing like psychically connecting without the telephone. We're like playing a game with it and just playing with it just for fun and see how we do. And we do what I call like a coffee morning together, and we go through kind of our baggage so that we can chuck it and release it. And we do like a couple of clearing statements, and it's really made a big difference, a huge difference. And we've literally shifted headaches, physical aches, in less than a minute doing this. So, I mean, I'm fully aware that it's possible, but at the same time, I have amnesia. I'm forgetful with everything. And is that part of the time-space continuum where because my kids are experiencing it too. There's like little breaks in the day that I don't know if we're going out of body. I'm not sure what's going on, but they've expressed that there's like moments of where they feel like they disappear. Mm-hmm. You know, they mentally can't recall. They're not. There's just a gap.
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautifully said. What's happening on? I mean, there's several things going on. I don't know how deep we'll get into this, but we'll play it with.
Okay, there's an echo. Maybe you got to star 6, Lily.
Okay.
Talking.
How's that?
Better.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So there's several things taking place at this time. The souls at this point are leaving physicalities on a regular rate. It's becoming a regular occurrence, part of it. So in essence, it's actually going into other realms or other energy fields to actually recharge itself and to upload and to stimulate itself, because being in the physical form and being stuck in the 3D world all the time actually continues to create, layers and layers and patterns that it chooses not to continue to focus on at this point. So in essence, it will leave and recharge itself or interchange. Now, there's other things that are going on, too, where bodies are being, souls are exchanging bodies. This has never been said, so I'm just going to give you a little taste of it. I don't make this very public, but what's happening is it's become more constant there, that drop-in scenario, but it's not really a drop-in from another place. It's a swapping that's going on, too. So the soul itself may be registering it, but at those periods of times you'll have blurps where you kind of say, what the heck happened? I missed a part. Or you were on more of an unconscious state while you were going down that trip. The other part of it is also the blips that also occur within when there's a burst that takes place, especially when there's a bit of that rewiring going on. It actually blocks out certain parts of it and chooses not to keep the mind active in that point, so it gives it a reset point in a sense. So there's a variety of different things that are going on, and these resets actually allow you to break the pattern, even though it's a short pattern break, but it also doesn't keep it like a stream. Like, for example, we may be doing the radio show, and then all of a sudden it cuts out. And then we have to get back on again. We have to get back onto the energy. So even if we were on a certain pattern of energy or a certain pattern of thought or communication or, whatever you want to call it, that break in between actually allows the person or the people on the radio show or whatever you want to call it to actually have to bring themselves back into restructure whatever they were at, but of course they're not going to be able to restructure it to the same. Something changes. So that's kind of what's happening, and this is happening very, very frequently. The other thing you'll notice, people are noticing, is that their memory is not that great. In a sense, they are having parts of their memory completely they can't seem to even access and say, what happened here? I remember something, but there's a whole part that's missing completely. Or forgetting, even what the conversation was with somebody or what was shared or something of that nature. Those, again, are parts and parcel of some of the changes that are occurring in the rewiring and restructuring. So people are noticing that part. So in essence, you could say, well, have you noticed these things occurring? And, of course, sometimes people go, well, it's part of aging or part of, stuff that's going on with themselves, they may turn around and say, wow, it's Alzheimer's or something or whatever, But in essence, it's really those parts of it. But you also notice that no one can deny that they're starting to feel different. No one can deny that things are not looking a little weird. It doesn't deny that they're having different experiences or different interactions with people that do not follow the same typical So those are changing, but they can't deny that their bodies are feeling the same too, because in essence either whatever ailments or what we call ailments, but what we call certain intense experiences don't get intensified even further, or they find it's unexplainable. You can go to your doctor and say, well, this hurts or that is uncomfortable, this is part, and there's no, well, we don't have a clue. We do a series of tests and still nothing comes out. Those are all part and parcel of the changes that are occurring within our physicality. No one can deny that it does. That things do not feel the same, look the same in essence. So these are all signs for people that already have within themselves. They may not understand it. They may not want to acknowledge it. They don't want to be part of it and saying, well, I don't want to go into that bandwagon. I want to hold on to my old world. But you'll notice that even holding on to the old world, or the part of their life that they got accustomed to, is becoming more and more challenging for them. It takes much more effort. They also notice that, what they were able to do before or feel comfortable doing is changed. So there's so many different sides. So when you're talking to somebody, you can mention, those type of conversations. Because when you ask them the question, they may respond quickly, well, I don't notice anything, and just say, and then you just tweak them on certain little things for them to pay attention to. You'll notice that most are going, yeah, you're right, because it is happening. It is, presenting for them in a way where they're seeing more parts of it along the way. Now, what I've described and what we were describing earlier about the fifth dimensional consciousness, stuff like that, again, not all of that's going to stream into 2015. This is going to take quite some time as we go along. What we'll notice is bits and pieces of it start to come in more and more. Now, depending where a particular person is at, they may be affected much more, or not, I shouldn't say affected, but much more active in experiencing those parts of it, where others may not to that degree. However, everybody is feeling something to some level. But as we're going forward, the world that we were kind of describing there, that's an unfoldment that will take place over a period of time. And we say time, even though there is no time, but we can logically understand time. That there's a sequence that needs to unfold, which represents as time that it will take place. So the adventure of all of it is seeing all those stages coming in, and how we assimilate through the stages, how we experience it, how we transform through it, and all the different parts of us that we will engage with that we didn't engage before. Now, depending on the person, some will have more and some will have less, but it's all, everybody's affected one way or another. Go ahead.
Well, I just want to interject now just to help people, and you tell me if I'm wrong or right. I know there's no such thing. But all of these changes are actually our natural self we're re-remembering and changing back to. And these changes are coming naturally. They'll just naturally happen as you grow in this foundation of energy and the other layers coming. And also regarding subtle energies, like our superpowers, telepathic, levitation, all that. We can't even limit that, you guys, because we are limitless. I mean, we can create what we want. I can create angels coming out of my hand as I'm holding them up. Anything I can think of. Is that okay to say, Franco? All that they're coming naturally.
Yes, and it is natural. It's basically reactivating our natural state. It is being upgraded at the same time because we're not going back to the original part of it, but we're going further.
Even though it's coming naturally, there's things that we can take action in to help us even go faster in the supernatural, natural states coming out of us. Is that true too? And what kind of things, like meditation and all that?
Yes, you're correct about the natural part, but we have to understand we are also in a state of experiencing and learning and growing.
Okay.
So where
that's
we're
important.
at right now, the world that we are living in, even before the changes or the ones that are in the middle of changing, is really an environment. It's a playground. It's a state for us to learn from. We've co-created this to be part of it. It's not about just stepping out of it. It is actually transitioning, but the transition actually allows us to create completion, and that's the thing. We're completing old experiences. We're completing parts of it so that we gain more consciousness through the experiential part rather than just having it dropped on our lap, because there's a different level of appreciation and expansion when, something just kind of, it's here. It's been gifted to me, rather than, I went through all the processes and the emotion. Now, of course, what does a meditation do? It allows us to quieten the mind. We get to visit another aspect of ourselves, which is our true essence.
Which is an experience in itself.
Yes.
So what you just said is what I'm seeing now, that's the most important thing that we should see out of all of this, is just enjoy, like you said, enjoy and go with the flow, because the process of experiencing the transition and the process of experiencing things coming back online is what we will look back on when we come to full knowledge of all this and full consciousness of all our powers. The most important things we'll look back on is our experiences to grow, right?
It's not a rival point. It's about everything in between that we're experiencing going through. That's what the ride is. It's not even the whole idea of, forgetting who we are and then remembering who we are. It's everything in between that you experience to get to that, and the different levels, because it's not just like sleep, awake. It's about sleep, slight teeny tinge of awakening, and then the next little tinge of awakening, and then a little bit more and a little bit more. But each time you make a little tinge of awakening, your series of experiences, how you play the game, how you do things shift. You're gaining different experience. You're learning different things. So eventually, as you're going along, it just expands further, so you're awakening more and more and more and more. Now, what's happening with all the stuff that's going on is everything is being stimulated so that we actually are not stuck in the sleep state, because that's kind of where it was, and we've saturated in being stuck in the sleep state. Now it's being induced for us to wake up, but we're still waking up piece by piece, but it's a lot faster. It's not only a lot faster, the completion is a lot faster, everything. And I say fast because that's what we refer to, but in actual, it's the sequences are jumping in bit by bit, so we're taking out layers of forgetfulness very quickly in comparison to what the progress we were doing before, and before being all the multitude of lifetimes we had before that, and amongst all the different energies. The acceleration started at the end of '86, going into 1987, and then we went into a whole different stage of acceleration after 2012, and each time we've entered other expedited acceleration states, and we're going to have more along the way, because again, it's not just one thing. It's all these sequences that are coming in.
Now, that's a very, very important point. The experiences are the most important thing, because now I'm seeing when we come into the stage of full consciousness, full awareness of, the powers, the subtle energies, and all these experiences, we're learning through our experiences now, even before we go full consciousness. But when we come into full consciousness, it's like we're going to look back again on these experiences, like we're going to go to the bookshelf, we're going to open up the history books, we're going to read the experiences that we went through, and we're going to learn again. We're going to learn even more from those experiences by reading them and getting more revelation. Wow. Not literally reading a book. We'll be able to go in and just look at our experiences, go back in the past or whatever, Wow. So I wanted to bring Bev in. I want if she would share what she's experiencing. But first of all, can you give us a little, we're looking forward now, Franco. So fifth dimension, 2015. What's the next dimension? 6? We're going to keep going up. And when does 6 start?
Well, that one is undetermined at the moment. It's going to be sometime along the way, because 5th is a huge upgrade for humanity. So,
that's good to know.
Yeah, we need to understand that even 5th is coming into the new year. That's just the entry point. Full integration won't happen until 2016.
Gotcha.
At that point in time. And basically the consciousness awareness of, that means the integration for humanity to match the planets, because that's, again, that the end into 2016 is just the full integration of planet Earth, but full integration of the intent right now. And everything is aiming for this, and it has altered a little bit too, it extended it, was to have every single soul on the planet and the planet itself all fully integrated into fifth dimensional consciousness, and that won't take place until the end of 2017. So,
and then again, everything is pliable. It could be held back a little longer, or it could even go faster, depending on how we're growing. This is kind of like, this reminds me of life stage, from birth to...
I mean, we're not even on timelines anymore. So it's not like we have, allocated, designed timelines, which used to be the case. We're basically, the timelines, you have to understand, we originally had timelines designed in one way, then it altered itself because the timelines were actually shifted and changed to reflect a reversed third dimensional with the...
Beautiful. That's the reason we're going to keep you around, Franco. But I have a sneaking suspicion one of these days, Franco will be even able to determine that ourselves, maybe.
What's that? Sorry.
Stuff that you tell us.
Oh,
we're going to do that firsthand.
Absolutely. This is the thing. The intent is too, and I want to share this, Elizabeth and Lily, is that when we get, the intent right now is when we get to the end of 2017 and going into 2018, we will have access to what I'm sharing. In all of us.
Glory.
At our fingertips. It's basically,
we'll have tangible access with our eyes and hands and feelings, emotions, what you're talking about.
Yes.
What you're sharing.
Yes.
Now,
some people already do.
Yeah.
But we're talking about on a collective scale.
All of us? All of us. Every single person.
Everyone.
Or there'll be still some behind.
Yes. There'll be others that won't be on the planet. Now, you have to understand there's going to be a lot of exchanging going on, too. That means certain souls may not want to be moving forward. Now, the body... Okay, real quickly. The bodies that are so densified and mucked up to a degree in the sense of, and we're talking about bodies and minds, that the energies will not be able to revitalize it or retune it, may choose to, the souls may, the physicalities will leave the planet, and there's many of them like that. But then there are physicalities that are very pliable, but the soul may not have use for that one and wants to do something different, then the soul will leave, and the body will become available for another drop-in soul. And the soul could, because one of the things that's opening up, and it's already happening, is that a soul that wants to come back on the planet doesn't necessarily have to come back through the birthing process. There are many that do, but there will be others that will not come through the birthing process and say, okay, I want to already take on an established body. And, yeah, it may have its characteristics, may have whatever it has, but I'll deal with that and work with that and then alter it from there. So there's a bit of that going on. But the intent is by the time we get to the end of 2017 that the bodies that are on the planet and the souls that are inhabiting those will all be at least minimally reflective to fifth dimensional consciousness.
Say that those years again, 2017?
The end of 2017, yeah. Going into
the end of what?
2017 going into 2018.
The end of 2017 going into 2018.
Yes.
Okay. So, Bev, are you there? You want to star 6? Come on in and share with Franco what you shared with us the other week. I got the room undone.
Oh, hi.
Hi. Share with Franco your experience of the music thing and all that story.
Oh, hi, Franco. I'm losing my hearing. Yeah, I'm 82 years old, so I'm losing my hearing, which is normal. But I do hear a lot of songs in my head a wide variety of songs in my head, and nobody seems to, like the doctors just say, well, that's because you're losing your hearing, and that happens to people, they hear. But I don't know if they understand that I'm just, well, there's like Old Lang Syne, America the Beautiful, and the Wedding March, and Jesus Loves Me, and giving my regards to Broadway. I mean, this is very strange to me. Mm-hmm. And they just say it's kind of, it happens to people when they're losing their hearing.
And what you're describing is what the doctor said is typical with everybody else?
Not in everybody, but he says it happens. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I mean, I try to tell them the songs because they say music in your head.
And when did it start, Beth? Just recently, right?
Oh, gee, I don't really know, Elizabeth. It was a few months ago.
Yeah.
Within the last year. And, you know, music in your head, that can mean noises and this kind of thing. I get that too. But I try to tell them some of the songs, but it doesn't seem to bother you. Nobody cares. They're not doing anything about it, so.
Okay. Well, enjoy the music, because the music...
I was going to say, I'm just going to have to sit back and enjoy it.
Yes, enjoy the music, because basically what you're doing is you're developing another way to access that goes beyond the hearing. And you'll also notice along the way you'll have more messages. Now, part of the messages are older messages that may exist, because, again, we're in a field of energy that has all the memory. Stored within the field of energy is anything and everything that's been experienced one way or another from every aspect of it. So what happens is we start to change in a way where we can actually tune into that, or it just starts to stream in. So what happens is there's a part of you in the mind that starts to change, so that you actually pick up other bands of frequency. So you're going to hear music, you're going to hear even conversations at point in times, and conversations that may not be around you, but conversation may be streaming from the other side of the world, or maybe just down the street, you know, and different things. You're not going crazy. What you're doing is just receiving another access point, but then through those access points is actually still developing you, because the hearing thing does not need to be necessarily played out where you actually lose it completely. You may for a period of time, but it can be easily restored should, you know, a part of you choose to do so. It's not limited to, okay, I'm going to lose my hearing and then that's it. You're basically accessing other sounds or frequencies of sound right now that may, at the mind level, may sound like music or that you would hear if you had the radio on, type of thing. But in essence,
exactly, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, there's a band there, and sometimes there's a chorus singing the songs.
Beautiful. So go with the ride. Enjoy that part of it. Be open with it, and just let it be. Don't be concerned. The doctors are not going to understand that, especially if they're still, because the thing is, that's one of the things. The doctors have only certain levels of reference point that they're still utilizing, where
right.
It says, okay, it fits this. You know, even if you have 2 or 3 what they call symptoms, they already have a category for it. Oh, well, it falls into this category. Might not be anything close to it, but anyways, they're slotters. They slot things into categories because that's the only categories and slots they have. And sometimes it's so weird that they can't even put it in a slot, and they say, well, we don't know. You know, we'll experiment with this or
okay.
that.
Well, they did give me an MRI of my head, and it's clear. They don't see anything there.
Yes, there's nothing to be there.
So I have to get hearing aids.
Hey, Bev, you remember Superman?
Yeah.
Remember Superman used to do that? He could hear other conversations, you know, far away on the other side of the world.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I think one of the superheroes did. So you're superwoman, girl. I can't wait till you start hearing conversations on the other side of the world. You may even sneak into the White House one of these days. Who knows, right?
You know,
I do have to say that there are times when the music stops that I hear voices, just very, very briefly, like in a split second. But thank you very much, Franco, for that.
Yes. Oh, Bev, he was telling you something else. So go ahead,
yes,
Franco.
Bev, I'll share something else for you. I'm just going to recommend something for you. When this is happening, just allow it to play out. But when there's a break in between where it stops or something of that nature, just in that quiet state, bring in, just throw your thought, like imagine yourself somewhere, or even just seeing yourself being in Australia, or bringing in just the conversation from there, or bringing in some tidbit of communication or something from somewhere. You'll notice that you'll be able to access even more, and it'll be amazing what you'll be able to access as you practice that. Because the thing is, what we normally wouldn't be able to hear because people are not in your presence to talk to you, you can actually bring in. So you can hear the conversation. You can hear higher consciousness. You'll be able to even hear the communication because, again, our mind will transcribe it into words that are coming from other higher aspects of self or from another being or something of that nature. Play with it. Just see it as play. Don't make it as a project, but at the same time, just play with it, but use it as an opportunity to really to utilize this gift that you've bestowed on yourself.
Oh, well, thank you very much. That sounds good.
It's going to be a lot of fun for you.
Not just for you, Bev, but because you brought this in, I'm going to start practicing that too because I've heard voices. So what Franco said is...
everybody, yes. This is for everybody, even though your hearing might be okay in a sense. You can, everybody can do it, and it's just a matter of allowing it to come through. But there are many people that already have that active in themselves. They hear overtones, they hear other music that is just coming from the ether. They're saying, well, I'm hearing it from the ether. We all get bits and pieces of that. We could practice getting more of it and actually be able to get the tones that will actually nurture us or shift us or create something of even more value.
Wow.
So, Bev, I would say, and what I'm going to do, and everybody, just go with the desires of your heart as you're living your life every day. And just like for me, if you're studying, the world changes, and it's like you get a desire in your heart. Man, I wish I was there and you really knew what was going on. I don't know, And then just imagine yourself in that room, in the midst of that conversation. They won't even know you're there.
Yes.
Is that okay to do, Franco? Is that invading in privacy, or have we just been brainwashed into that? Because we're all one.
Exactly. That's just the whole idea of there is no such thing as privacy. I mean, in a sense, that's the ego mind saying, I want to do something, but I don't want anybody to know. But at the soul level, at the part to say, hey, we're all one. We're sharing with one another. There is no isolation. There is no compartmentalizing, of being I'm here and I don't want anybody. That's just the ego mind. So you could bypass and say, no, I'm open for whatever. And the thing is, the fact that you could access it is that you're being asked to access. Remember, you can't access anything that's not to be accessed. So the thing is, the facet of you has to give you permission anyway. So if you go into the room, I can tell you one thing, Beth, and even you, Elizabeth, and whoever else is listening on, is that the moment you enter that room in that conscious state, you're going to have so many volunteers that want to communicate with you that you'll have to choose. It's just like, me, I want to share, because that's coming from a level saying, listen, I have something to gift you. I have something to share. I have something that I also want to receive from you, because it's not only one way. This is a two-way communication too. You can reply to them, even if you just through thoughts, or you can even verbalize it if you want, but you can reply to them. But if you're in your own private space, if you're walking around, you may be stimulating some people to look at you and say, well, she's talking to herself. And at that point, you could actually raise people's consciousness, because it's like, wow, I'm having a really awesome conversation with somebody in New York right now, or at this function or something of that nature, right? A lot of people think, she's gone over the edge here, but... in essence, there'll be more and more that will be understanding that.
Okay. I never thought about doing that. I will try that. I will. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
Good. Go play.
And you let us know how it goes, Bev. Keep us informed so you'll encourage us to open up our this and that. Or you'll build the foundation in us so we can get to the point where we can access that, you know. And
I won't hide anything from you, Elizabeth.
Good.
You'll know everything that's going on in my head.
Great.
Look at how much playfulness and partying that you'll be doing, you know, with all these access points that you'll have in your mind and head.
Oh, great.
Never go.
Oh, life is so strange, isn't it?
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It really is.
Mm-hmm. Glory. Well, thank you, Bev.
Okay, I'm going to mute out.
Okay, dear. Is there anybody else that has a question or, I call it a testimony, what they've been experiencing, or a comment for Franco or question? Go ahead and star 6. Well, I got the room opened. I got to give it a little minute. Okay. And then, Lily, do you have another question? And, well, she's coming on. I want to ask, we're kind of on the subject, Franco. You know, I come from the Christian realm. I used to prayer all night long, prayers, fast. Anyway, in the realm I'm in now, they call it light language. But I call it praying in spirit, praying in tongues, right? That. All right, so in the Bible it says that, two could talk to each other like that and one would know what they were saying. What is that all about? Can you enlighten us?
Okay, that was a language that was put into place some long time ago, and in essence, you would have the one that would actually understand the language of tongue. They called it tongue, and then the others will be communicating. So some will be channeling. Let's put it this way, and others will be interpreting the channeling. And it was a language of tongues that were put into place where there was, this is before the mind was actually much more capable of deciphering thought, or it wasn't so much a thought, but it was thought transmitted thought. For example, like if a being wants to communicate with you, before the channeling was not so easy in the way it was, so basically there was using a sort of a universal language that was, and then there was someone that was gifted or activated, let's put it that way, to be able to interpret it, the language, which was referred as tongue at that time. But
so is it useful now, or
in essence, in some cases, it's still useful for people that are still not able to feel confident or comfortable with just thought, because what happens. We get transmissions, and you probably have experienced this. You're asking yourself a question, or you're pondering on something, and then a thought comes in, okay? The thought comes in, that's a communication. That communication can come from your soul, can come from another aspect of yourself, can come from a higher aspect of yourself in another physical form or non-form. It can be coming from a cluster of soul families and so forth, right? It can be coming from any of those sources. But it's a lot of times you just say, I don't know, I can't trust it, because that's what the ego mind responds. Well, I can't trust it, I can't prove it. It could be just my mind making it up. So it's like the mind's making up its own story type of thing. And it's funny how the ego works that way, because it basically could make its own story and then doubt its own story too. But I'm just saying in that point. So in essence, if somebody's still engaged in that, then the whole thing with tongue would come in. But it's an ancient language, and it has also limits too, because a lot of times when it's interpreted, it doesn't carry the same understanding, let's put it this way, that we are capable now as we're awakening. Because again, it comes in, it has to be processed in a way so that we could actually get the nugget.
So is it a subtle energy power, or because when I can talk in it, sing in it, but there's different. Sometimes I feel like I'm a Native American, sometimes Asian, different languages. I mean, is it a subtle energy power, or is it I don't know.
You're picking up other energy transmissions because, again, even though it's a universal language, it may be being transmitted from a tribe, for example, and then you're going to feel somewhat what they're feeling or what they're transmitting. You're actually stepping into their reality in a sense of experience. So it is useful still. I mean, it's not that something that's not useful.
It's useful to people that are on that certain foundation, that level as they grow. But there's higher powers than you're saying. Beyond that, because we're limitless.
Higher capability, which doesn't even require to go that. So you don't.
Which would be telepathy or something like that, right?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I mean we do communicate already. It's just that we discard much of the communication, or we block it out with lots of noise. This is one of the things with Bev too, because you'll notice that the noises as it reduces in the regular, because even if the mind starts to quieten, but then the external output. Input per se from through the ears and stuff start to minimize for a period of time, then you actually be able to access it and acknowledge it or listen to it or hear it much more clearly without blocking it out with a lot more noise and a lot more stuff that we put in. So that's kind of the thing. So in essence, yes, it's still beneficial. It's not a requirement. It's not absolute, but then at the same time, we're already gaining stuff that actually simplifies it. So you don't actually have to use the universal language. The universal language is thought. And the thought already presents itself transcribed for your particular understanding. See, that's good. It goes through sort of a electronic dictionary so that it actually presents in a way that you can understand it. So somebody else may... Even with the transmissions and stuff that happen where people are channeling. Again, the channeling comes from all levels. It doesn't mean it's always higher. It means that it's coming from a different source or the various different sources, but sometimes it depends if it goes through filters. But again, even when you listen to it, people will get different parts of it because it actually means different things to different people because of where they're at in their when thought forms come in that are shared, say a Pleiadian being is transmitting something, it's going to be transmitted to a certain degree, but when it's coming personalized to somebody, it will actually be in a language or a way that you can understand it. Unless it's coming for you to be shared on a group, then it will come in a much more expanded method, which everybody will get bits and pieces of it. For example, instead of being one spectrum of communication that is kind of allocated and designed for you to understand, it now carries a multitude of different spectrums so that other listeners, receivers, will be able to access the different spectrums that will be more key to them. I hope I can explain that properly.
Yeah, that's great.
I could see it, but it's not always that easy to put words into it.
Right, I know. That's great. So anybody else, the floor is open. Come on in if you want. *6 to unmute with a question, comment, whatever you want, what's on your heart. And then, Lily, I want to give you a chance, too. I don't know if you're still there. Because I have more questions. Okay. Where do we go from here? I just lost my blank. All right.
You're picking up something.
No, I know you travel. You travel a lot of places. I'm just curious, because we're limitless and we can create anything we want, basically. And as what we describe as subtle energy powers, supernaturally natural. We know levitation, hearing music, telepathy, bilocation, teleportation, miracle powers. You can just stand in front of somebody and they get healed of cancer. What have you seen on other places or something I didn't mention? Just stuff to look forward to.
Even those parts of it are, at first it's going to be wow factor for us because that seems quite new.
A wild factor?
Yeah, wow factor in a sense where, when you start doing telepathically communicating or starting to, teleportate or something of that nature, you'll notice that, on the human form, because that's so new to it, because it's never really experienced it. And the wow factor is really at the mind. It's not even the soul. The soul doesn't have that much of a wow factor because, in essence, the soul already does access.
We are that.
Point.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not really new to us, but it's new because we're remembering, re-experiencing because we want this experience so we can gain more knowledge and understanding and love, I guess.
Yes. Now, for example, us, the way we function on the planet, breathing, eating, doing that, it seems so natural, so common, we don't even think about it. It's just, okay, I'm hungry, I got to go eat, or need to do this or that. There's a lot of functions that we do that are very natural. So on other planets, a lot of the stuff that's our wow factor in the human form is so natural that they don't even pay attention to it. In a sense, even the most things that we find that are supposed to be common sense are not common sense, in the sense of, having monetary systems, having everything shared, having no allocation who does what, having no quantabilities or qualifications or anything of that nature, or even the fact of, having an environment where it nurtures us. That is so natural that it just is, and it's foreign for beings that when they come here, they say, wow, there's a lot of emphasis and focus on something that, it's foreign to them. And even some of the souls that are much more advanced find it very foreign because it's a level of play that is not something that it's been accustomed to, or it has been out of it so long that it becomes what you call foreign, right? So when you're going to other places, even the process of regenerating is so natural. Is that the body goes through a certain part and it alters. It alters every part of it. There's not even a healing process. It's basically it just like growing a limb, for example, is capable in our capacity. It was just the program has been turned off. But in essence, on another place, it's like you need a new organ. The organ is manifest because it's just energy field. It's light, right? So it's just you rebuild a new one, or you create a new one, or you add a third or fourth if you want. I mean, whatever you need to do. For example, I'm just giving you examples that you would understand on a human form. But if whatever you need to do, it's just done so naturally in that regard. So when you're traveling to other spaces, what seems like wow to us is commonplace for them. Commonplace to the point of not even noticing it, type of thing. So what can they do? I mean, yes, their bodies are much more flexible. They're much more lighter. They actually can shift their experiences much more fluently. But at the same time, they like to maintain a certain level of sensorial, even though it's much limited to ours in most of the planets,
right.
anyways, because it keeps a certain path of learning and experiencing vivid, alive. Because if they're going to take a form, they might as well utilize the form,
right?
Rather than trying to get out of form. I mean, a lot of us, you go into an experience instead of really embracing the experience and maximizing it fully before you're ready to move on to the next experience. We fight our experience. We judge it. We have one experience is better than the next.
But we chose to do that, to experience, to look back and learn more from that experience.
We were in the polarized world that we agree.
So that brings an important point. That when I first started this out, it painted ETs or other beings in different worlds, different dimensions as a savior. Well, like Franco just said, they're looking at us and thinking it's strange, like, teleporting comes naturally to them and we struggle through that. Or they're curious about our density and our experience because it's really strange to them. So the important point here is when we get to a certain point, and some are, we're going to be co-creating with them. We'll learn from them. And they are learning from us. And then once we build that relationship, then we start co-creating together. And also, the important thing is us. I think that we're really important to the universe or multi-universes because of our change. Because I think there's never. I don't know, Franco. There's never been like a human skin suit that illuminates like we're unique, like all of us are unique in different beings, but we're diamonds, and diamonds can cut other diamonds, and we're like carbon-based, and we're illuminating into diamonds, and they're different based, and they illuminate differently. So even, am I explaining any comments, Franco?
Yes. You made excellent points, and the thing is, let me give you a quick observational analogy that we can relate with. Okay, the moment we stop judging each other, the moment we establish a communication that does not isolate one another, okay? For example, look at all the wars, the struggles, the strifes, and everything else is going on because of religion, because of belief systems, because of culture, because of who feels is better than the next, and all that stuff. The moment we create a relationship and we let the barriers down and we let everybody be themselves, what happens is that we learn from one another. And from that learning, we expand exponentially. Amazingly, we expand. We get to understand each other's cultures. We get to understand each other's beliefs. We get to understand each other's path. We get to understand each part of it through our own viewpoint. What happens is that the barriers dissolve, all of it is integrated, and then the categorizations, the transforms. For example, cultures will no longer become rigid. It will start to become malleable. It starts to reshape. It starts to bring every part of it. And eventually the culture even dissolves because the basic fundamentals of whatever was in there will remain. And this is what's happening on planet Earth, what we're doing. But this relationship which you mentioned there is that's the relationship we'll have with other aspects of ourselves as beings. This is where the relationship comes in, where they start sharing their experiences, their capacities of what they've learned, as we are sharing what we have learned on our physical form, because our physical form receives our experiences very different. We are very emotionally active in a sense where we live and learn from very powerful emotions, which are physical representations of story activations and so forth, that are very vivid, which in many planets do not have that capacity. So in essence, there is a beautiful learning from one another, like I gave you the example of us, looking at each other's culture. So the moment we establish that relationship where we stop compartmentalizing and start judging and so forth, imagine having these beautiful beings coming on the planet, and we're now beautifully sharing with one another. We see the beauty in each other's experience. We see the beauty of each other's path. We see each other as one. Can you just imagine how that will be experienced, how that would be felt for you, even in your state of mind right now, Elizabeth, and anyone else that's listening right now?
Wow. And we're starting that journey now with all of everything else. I see the beginning of the journey, others further along than others, but we can all get there. But as the journey goes, I've heard, Franco, that there'll be like mentors that'll come, not physically on Earth, but like different consciousness, big groups in the sky. I don't know. You won't be able to see them, but some people will be able to go and get mentored, and we mentor them, like in a face-to-face experience. When is that scheduled to? Do you see? I know everything's pliable, like 16, 17, 18, or beyond, and I know we'll start little with a few people, and then it'll gain bigger.
The way it's right now, from looking at how things are aligning and what the communication has been, if we have to apply a timeline, we're looking in the 2020 range.
Okay.
The full interaction where we become more of an international planet, you're into 30.
Like the Star Wars scene with different being in the bar.
Yeah, you're looking at 30 or 35, 2030, 2035.
Yeah,
that's how it is right now. It could move a lot quicker.
but that doesn't mean that things will relationships will get closer, and face to face with people singly or little small groups, just not the whole world, right? Until 2020, but as we go on, it'll be like one person at a time, several places around the world, and then maybe little groups, and then bigger groups, and bigger groups. Pretty soon, the whole world.
Yes.
Is that like a process, right?
Yeah. The mentoring is already happening now. It's very isolated and small. A lot of it is through channeling. Others are through interconnection that's occurring. But into 2020, like you said, there will be much more groups having smaller throughout the world. It's going to be in different places. Smaller interactions, more exclusive or personalized, or what can I call it, intimate mentoring that will be taking place, because some will be taking on, like I'm talking about humans, will be taking on key roles to work with others. So they will be the student for a while, and then they become the teacher. The student will be learning from the different mentors, and then they become the teachers to share and bring up all the other souls that are not ready for that other part, but they'll learn it through other humans that have actually been mentored, per se. Right. But then the interaction will continue to grow. So when we're talking 30-35, we're looking at, a very regular occurrence, as how you can go to your international airport and you have people coming from all over the world. Mm-hmm. You're going to have an international ports, which will be ships coming from all over, from other planets. And we're going to, that's the intent.
And just our universe, from all over our universe, or other universes? Or other universes?
Well, it'll be starting off from our own galaxy. And again, it'll be from the closest cluster of galaxy at first, because you have to understand the frequencies are very different from different universes. So we may not be ready for that type of interaction, because we're not going to be carrying that much of a spectrum yet. That will be later on, and again, our bodies will be of completely different form. When I say that in its operating, before we would go into that. So at first, it will be the first levels of clusters. Now, the first series will come along, will be I'll give you this part, I wasn't going to talk about it, but the first series will be the beings that have the highest input of genetic encodement, or DNA encoding.
Close to us, yes.
So they'll be the
Makes
closest
sense.
ones to us. Then, since we have 12 genetic strains in us, eventually the first primary 5, and then the secondary 7s will start coming in, and back and forth, and that's going into the 30-35 stage. But then eventually it'll open up, because even in our quadrant of the galaxy, there's 400 planets. 400 different species at the same time. So that's not going to all happen at once, because we're not going to be able to relate.
Right, and I see us starting not the very beginnings, but the build up until now of, groups that have studied ETs and all that for a long time, but the very beginning of taking down the walls and taking away the veils so we can not have judgment. I can see that starting, with this Stephen Bissett and the Congress thing, and that and the mock ones that happened last year. So, yeah, that's great.
And then there's the other part too. The other part is there's going to be souls that are going to be ready, their physicality to be ready. Then they will actually travel in ships to go to other planets to really fully integrate. So it's not only receiving visitors, we will actually visit them. Yes. Into their planet, because now you're going to be exposed completely. You're exposed to the planet. You're exposed to them in a larger scale, because there's going to be clusters of them. So you're going into their collective, per se. So in essence, so there'll be that, and of course, at first the traveling would be to the closest, species encodements that we have, and then later on further. So have we ever had this on
have we ever had the intergalactic relationship? Have we ever had that before in history, thousands of years back?
Yes, we have, but not in this series of physicalities.
See? This is why this human skin suit is very interesting, and we're a diamond. We're diamonds. So we'll get, because we have all that different 12 DNA.
We, prior to a lot, okay, how could I say this? In the last thousands of years, we've had ships come on the planet, and there have been interactions.
Right.
Okay. We did not see them in the same form, per se, in the sense of, how can I put it? We saw them as gods, we saw them as higher beings, and so forth. The beauty of it is that the interactions were there, and a lot of times the interactions, after it was completed, parts of the interactions were erased or made inaccessible. They were put archived, okay? So if we tune into our archives, and specifically, we would be able to see strands of it. Even in our art, some of the old artwork, you see ships. You see beings portrayed in there. Because they were there. It was common knowledge, right? But at that time, it wasn't even... it was just perceived very different in the way we saw it. But a lot of it got archived, and a lot of that archive will be coming up.
So I got a revelation just lately, listening to Raymond. I don't know how to say this, but so this are thousands of years ago and all that, they left their kind behind, like in dogs, ants, and all the animals and everything. Like there were beings like all what we see around us, like dogs, ants, dolphins, and all that, and there still are, and they can commit, but they left their mark on the earth, and it's like us awakening, that dogs and dolphins, they're awakening too, and we've heard that we can talk with animals and they talk to us, and we'll I don't know, am I on some kind of track or not?
You're absolutely right. I mean, and I've shared this in the past and possibly other shows and other talks, but in essence, most of the plant life, most of the animal kingdom, insect world, the reptilian world, the birds, the oceanic, all of that are coming from other planets. So each one is an implant from their planet, still carrying a resonant frequency from their planet. This is why it was supposed to be a universal planet, a planet where, it was for universal travel. It was like a base station, if you want to say it, and a holder, or what you call it, a storage of consciousness. There's a word for it. I can't think of the word right now. But anyways, it was supposed to be the hard drive for carrying the information, the consciousness within it. And basically, we were designed to be the keeper. Well, of course, you kind of changed that one. But in essence, just to go back to what you were saying, yes, all these different species have their imprints in there. Then we have these imprints in our DNA, even though that we carry 12 DNA and only 10 of them are not operating to R, and then now they're being reactivated. And
so I was thinking, okay, I got 2 dogs.
Let's put it that. What's that?
Huh? What'd you say?
Elongated. Let's put it that. Go ahead.
Elongated. So I was thinking, oh, wow, you guys come from a different planet, another different species. Wow, and you're waking up just like we are waking up. Pretty soon you're going to know who you are just like we are. And we can really communicate, too. I mean, am I off?
No.
Or we'll be experiencing that, too, with the animals and nature. Because that's when Missy's... Yeah, we're already connected, but we're going to connect even more, because Missy Shaw, I remember when you're describing we are all one, we're going to feel one with everything.
Yes. You'll be able to communicate, but the communication, you have to understand, Elizabeth, will not be limited to just consciousness or communication verbally or thought.
Right.
The communication will be through every aspect. For example, you connect to a tree, you will be able to feel every aspect of that tree's perception, perspective of its essence, where it's positioned, how it's connected to the earth, how it breathes, how it actually expands its leaves, what it receives energetically from the sun, and all the different love. You get to feel every part of it.
So that's where love and unity even expands even more. Imagine yourself feeling that tree, and it's hurting, and it's like, wow, that's how you'll come to be humbled and love that tree even more than you already do. And anything. Wow.
Exactly. Well put.
Mhm.
Aren't you amazing?
It's amazing. Wow. Is there anything on your heart, Franco, you wanted to share on this show that you were thinking?
Well, we played a lot, and more than I thought we would get. And I say thought, it's just how I was feeling going through it. We've touched upon a lot there.
Yes.
The thing with your show and some of the others, even with Missy, we tend to go into areas that create an expansion. But I always want to remind people not to get lost in that part of it, because we're amazing beings, but we're also having a very transformative human experience right now, and we are experiencing a lot of facets of this human experience. And, we'd like to fantasize and go into that, and that's great. It's a nice little taste. It really preps us up, and it allows us to get out of our humdrum state of being. But, really to embrace this human experience and to be part of the transformation that's happening within ourselves, totally inside of it and being in every aspect of it, it's just phenomenal to be able to be there, to do that. So to really, when we're here now, is to really embody this phase, because there's a massive amount of learning. There's a massive amount of expansion that is taking place doing what we're doing in this transitional part. This is the reason so many souls are so excited to be here, so excited to get here. And even though there's a gap, and this, I know we touched a little bit about this, there's a gap where people, okay? I'll throw this one in. You're kind of one of the first ones that are getting part of this right now. So your listeners are getting a little feed here. Souls are leaving bodies quite frequently now. And because it needs to go and recharge or have a slightly different experience, so it leaves the physicality. It becomes soulless for a period of time. Now, of course, a body will not function very well soulless for any extended period of time. However, what's happening now, an opening has been created. More and more souls are getting on board, saying, okay, I'm going to step out of this physicality for a period of time. I'm going to go and play in other realms. I'm going to leave it open for another soul to drop in. And you're going to have souls that are going to drop in. And these souls may consist of souls that are non-form and waiting to take a form, could be in this planet or other planet. They could be souls that are left another physicality on the other side of the planet, or maybe just your neighbor, and decide to embody that particular physicality. Because within that physicality it has a tremendous amount of memories and experiences that it can access. And it can actually embody and really take the essence of what that body is experienced and what the soul is also implanted in it, in the memory part of it. And this is what's happening here, is that there's so much swapping and exchanging going on. I don't usually share this because people can get there, well, I don't know, my soul's taken off and I'm having all of these drop-ins within myself. We're not talking about possessions. We're not talking about entities. We're talking about soul exchange, souls going in and out. They're never there permanently. There are, the ones that, like I said earlier in the show, was that if the ones that are saying, well, I'm done with this, I'm out of here, then if it's a viable physicality that can be utilized, there's usually souls that are saying, okay, I'll drop in, I'll take that one. And they may come from other planets. They may come from this planet. It may be one soul that already left and on one physicality and said, okay, I'm going to depart this physicality, but I'm going to be open for another opportunity because I want to create a different variety because I wasn't able to have a variety in the other. So that kind of happens too. So you would basically be able. So there's a lot going on right now. It's phenomenal because what's opened up, I mean, I was in awe myself when I started to see this going on, and it's like, wow, this is ingenious. This is amazing that, we've co-created such an exchange. So it's like, how people will have house exchange. Somebody wants to go to France, and the one in France wants to go to the United States, for example, and they will swap homes. So they fly to each area, and then they go and live in that area for a week, a month, whatever period of time. And so there's just an exchange. There's no changing, saying, well, I'll be renting here. No, it's just that you swap, and you get different experiences. That's happening at a level now, at the soul level, through a physical component of it. Now, how exciting is that?
Wow. So these are souls that they're from different planets, or they're different other dimensions, or
there's combinations, yes, and then
combinations.
Others are from this planet here, that you're swapping with. So there's a lot going on.
So that's fun. We're all having fun right now, huh?
Yes.
With that, even.
Yes. Yes.
In the last couple of weeks, and I've experienced it through my life. Like when just waking up, I feel plop. Something like either left or came in. But lately, it's like I feel a plop. It's usually when I'm first waking up or going to sleep or being really still with my body, and I feel a plop. And I mean, literally, they plop in. It's like it's wow. I'm glad you shared that.
Well, if you were on the you were on the show last week on the Sunday there, when we were doing some work at the end of James Fu. We were doing the energy. He was going around and he was tuning into certain people. You probably, if you recall, at one point he was talking to one of the ladies there and basically said, "Oh, you got to drop in."
Yeah.
And because her soul had left. And
wow.
Basically, another soul dropped in. Now the soul.
Somebody wanted to attend it, Franco.
What's that?
Somebody wanted to attend your conference, Franco, and they had an agreement.
Yes. So, but anyways, in that particular person, the soul is still out, and the soul that's embodying was released, left because it was, induced to leave. But then another one dropped in afterwards because her soul didn't want to get back in a hurry. It said, no, I'm still doing what I want to do, and I don't want to go back into that body right now. So it became available, so another soul dropped in. So it's actually interesting because when we were talking with briefly with James Fu and a couple other people that we do this stuff, and it's interesting how you say, wow, I've never seen this before. Look at what's happening now. I mean, this drop-in thing is becoming because on the Saturday I went to help James again, for example, and that one wasn't recorded, but the Saturday he did an event. It was his event, and I went to help him on the last 2 hours to do the energetic work.
Right.
And while we were there, the lady that was sitting right next to me, basically, her soul had already left from some time, and it had another soul in there. And when he was walking around, and he goes, "Oh, you have a drop-in, right?" And it's a very powerful soul that's in you, actually a very conscious, very powerful one. So
that's how you guys discovered what was going on then, huh?
No, this is where we had it actually people in groups heard. Okay, so this has been happening, but James has been noticing it. I kind of knew about it for a while now because of the fact that it was activated some time ago, but it's become so prevalent now, and it's interesting because a lot of times you don't realize it when you're connecting with somebody because even doing work on one-on-one, sometimes it's very interesting how you're working with someone and you may see them the second time and it's not the same soul. Same body, same...
how do you know that? Because you see the energy of that? Or
the energy
how do
is
you
different,
see it?
and the communication is different too. The language is almost pretty well different.
So, just to reiterate, when you have souls coming to visit your body and you're going somewhere else, you're not necessarily conscious of that, correct?
Not the mind itself, but
yes.
I'll tell you one thing. If you're perceptive,
you
will notice a change within yourself. You will feel different.
Your personality or something.
What's that?
Your personality and how you're relating to people and stuff like that?
Yes. The exuberance or the energy coming from you, the stuff say you had a certain pattern of comfort, of talking a certain way. Then all of a sudden it just doesn't feel that comfortable, and there's almost like another part of you coming out. It's like, there's an interesting part of me coming out, because it's now, if it's a more advanced soul, you find, wow, look at all this insight I have. Where's all this insight coming from right now? Which is not used to, because this is the mind observing that, because that's new to the mind. The soul is not there to acknowledge it, so it doesn't matter. But in essence, it's the mind going, whoa, look at this. Well,
this is interesting. I think I've always done this. So, from Andrew, I got a reading. He said, I pick up on little things, that I'm only 65% here. And then Matthew Bueno said I have lots of people coming in and out. And then he gave me some advice, you can tell them no or yes or whatever. Wow. I don't know. Do you see somebody else in me, Franco, right now?
Well, you said a very good thing there, because, yes, you are leaving your soul is leaving quite often at the same time, right? So, in essence, your natural soul right now is not. It doesn't seem like I would have to fine tune the thing, but from tuning it doesn't seem like the one that's been there the most. So it almost feels like you have.
Nice to meet you, Franco.
What's that?
I said, okay, wow, nice to meet you then. I'm somebody else, so I'm saying nice to meet you, talk to you, because I'm somewhere else.
Facet of your beingness in the body of Elizabeth with the mind of Elizabeth, yes.
Oh, like the 48 parts you're talking about of you at the beginning? Or no?
Well, no, that's one soul. My soul leaves a lot too. Okay, actually quite a bit, but it doesn't leave the physicality open for others to drop in. So it's kind of, there's a deal with that. So it just doesn't have drop-ins. But in essence, no, the soul itself is already 48 unified. That means it all is together. It's not like, because when I'm talking about drop-ins, there are fragments dropping in and out all the time. It's like a fragment. So if a soul of your neighbor comes in, your neighbor is still,
So you're talking about complete different souls, not fragments of yourself going in and out, what you're seeing mostly now.
Yes.
Okay, so what was I going to ask? What is the significance of this now? I know we're having fun. Now, I'm really humbled now, because, every single person that is on this earth now in a human skin suit was actually chosen, because there's tons and tons of people in line that wanted to come down here to Earth. So the ones that didn't get to be chosen are now visiting and getting to experience even if it's a little bit, an hour or 2 or 3 days. Right?
Yes, that was my point that I never finished. Which is
sorry.
It's no, it's not you. It's just I got all excited about going down there, sharing something that I wasn't planning to share, but anyway.
So we're having a relationship with other souls that couldn't come, but we're letting them come visit now, get a glimpse and stuff.
Yes. So this is one of the things that what we're going through right now may be for at the mind level saying this is boring, this is terrible, I am tired of this. But you know how many souls are just excited to even get a glimpse of it for a while?
Yeah.
And that's why there's all this exchange, like you were saying.
Wow. Cool. So what's the importance of it? What's the significance of it for both sides right now? It's a good thing and it's a fun thing, but is there, just for experience probably, right?
There's a couple of purposes here, okay? First one, it gives other souls that could not take a body an opportunity to experience. Now, the body itself, for example, your body, when there's another soul in your body, it is now picking up energies emanating from a different soul. It's also accessing consciousness that has experienced a different journey from a different soul. What it does is makes you more multi, not cultural, but
multitask?
Multifaceted, if you want to call it that.
Oh,
there's a word
more colorful.
Let's use that for now. So in essence, it helps you to shift your own consciousness at the mind level. And because different energies are coming in. It's like you going out and enjoying different foods. You know, each one has a different, you know, if you go to Asian food or Chinese food, whatever you call it, you go to Greek food, you go to Italian food, you go French food, you go to different types of food, Persian, whatever. So each one gives you, you know, a taste of it, and it also expands your palate, you know, whatever it is. So each time these souls drop in, you have a different soul come in, and it expands you.
Expands your consciousness even more.
Yes.
To awakening?
And it alters it. All of them alter your own operating frequency, and at times it raises it up. Other times it may just add a few more extra spectrums to it, so that you actually have more access. I mean, it does a lot of things. So there's a gain on both sides. The souls that are visiting are getting something they can't get.
Yeah.
And the souls that the physicalities that are embodying their souls or are allowing these embodiments are enriching themselves from it.
Remember I told you, like a half an hour before the show, I got really, really tired. It felt drained in my body. Yeah, maybe that's when I went out and somebody came in.
So how do you feel now?
Oh, I feel good. I'm not like I felt. Yeah. So I must have that other entity must have adjusted. Now he's adjusted, or she, whatever. Yeah. This is fun. Wow. Okay. Anything else you want? Anybody have a question? Come on in. The room's open. Star 6, Lily. And then we'll finish up with you, Franco, and I'll finish the rest of that astrology. And then I want to play something from Cynthia. She read a little bit more astrology of more details of what we learned from Franco in these last 4 calls. You were here with us, Franco, even if you weren't here like you are today. The last 4 calls we did, we played a lot of you. And learn and studying the wave energies coming starting September 21st. So
beautiful.
I heard somebody come in.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hi, this is Belinda. Hi, Franco.
Hi, Belinda. How are you?
I'm great. I'm doing great. I mean, after listening to this, now I have like a zillion questions. But I'll just answer my first question that came into my mind. We're talking about how human beings are changing. And how we're going into 5D. What about planet Earth? What about the weather and the planet herself as she moves into 5D? We have so many droughts, like on the west coast of the United States, and severe weather patterns and things going on. Will that change? Will we see more of a balance coming in to the planet herself?
Absolutely. Because the planet itself right now is having these extremes as part of our requirement for extremes to create a change within ourselves. Plus, our energy is all over the map right now. There's so much variety of energies of highs and lows, and the energy shift in pockets, meaning, you know, in different areas they change and certain intensities change. I mean, I know that there are, you know, influences from different levels of technology that is being used. But again, the effectiveness of that is very minuscule in comparison to what the energy fields are going. So eventually, as we're going into, we'll notice by the time we've gone into full integration of fifth dimensional consciousness, which will be in, you know, stepping into 2018, the end of 2017, 2018, a lot of the severity of weather pattern changes and so forth will change. It will become much more mild. That's not what was it? More. There's less contrast. Less. It won't be as cold. Not as. And you won't have the droughts and so forth. So it will equalize. It will balance out much more, and it will be balanced out in a way
balanced.
Yeah. Which will support the nature in that area, where right now it's being challenged too. You know, as you can see with the fires and everything else. But yes.
Like in Minnesota, we have all 4 seasons, and other places just hot all the time. How will that be in the world?
You know, you will have the 4 seasons, but the 4 seasons will not be. First of all, a lot of the seasons will alter, but in essence, we will not have the extremities. You know, where you have extreme cold, snow, and so forth, and then the extreme hot, humid, and all that. It basically will balance more. I mean, the sun plays a role to a certain degree, but it's only because it's encoded that way. In essence, the rays of the sun can be equal because the sun is not really hot. okay, it is interpreted energetically to feel hot, and it's just light. And then, of course, the light hits our skin, which is now encoded to turn into heat, and it hits pavement or anything else out there, nature or whatever you want to call it, and it because of the vibration of the what do you call it? The whatever substance, material, or whatever it is, the dirt or whatever, transcribes it into heat, and it creates heat, and that heat is actually what we utilize as part of our experience component. But the way it converts light will change, so that in actual fact there will be much more consistency or balance, you want to call it, so that in essence even a place that doesn't have as much light, which again the rotation of the planet and the movement of the planet will also alter. And I'm not saying all that by 2017, but you'll notice it later on as we're going into the latter years. That in essence the way that the planet moves and the way that the cycles change and the ways that the temperature and the fluctuations will be very different. It will be very minimal fluctuations. So in essence, I mean, when it was originally designed, we did not need to go hide ourselves in shelter to shelter ourselves from the elements. It was really the planet was designed in a way that it was conducive for us to be outside all the time if we wanted to and be whatever we wanted to do. We didn't have to go and build something to hide it. But then when the alteration came, of course, but that's changing. So in essence, that's what would happen, is that we would have much more a balanced nature, and we wouldn't have all these the droughts and so forth, because that's again still polarity part. That's still completing its play out.
Thank you. That's really interesting. I was thinking that would probably happen, but I wasn't sure. So this has been a great show. Appreciate both of you guys. Love you, Franco.
Yeah, I love you too, Belinda. It's Belinda, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
So Belinda, yes, thank you. I see you attend a lot of different things. So thank you for being part of your part of this journey in that way you are.
I'm really, really excited. I feel like I can expand so much further than I have, yet sometimes I feel like I have to just wait. I feel like I'm in a waiting pattern. But I love what I just helps me so much just to listen to your every single show, every single host you have is wonderful, and I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Belinda. Hey, what state are you from?
I'm in Nevada right now, Las Vegas.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
Cool. Thank you.
But I want to be in Minnesota, Elizabeth.
You do? Okay, come. Let's party together.
I love Minnesota.
And what I mean by party together, not drink alcohol, but party and have fun and flow.
I know it. Okay, I'll sign off. Thank you both.
Okay, bye-bye now.
Thank you. Is there anybody else really quick? Star 6. Here's your chance.
Hey, it's Lily. I have a question, or kind of a question confirmation based on what we discussed earlier.
Sure.
So when I was describing myself, where I have like little segments of time where I cannot go back to a memory. I have just a little bit, but I mean, I'm to the point I just let it go. I don't even try to remember anymore because I don't have enough brain space anymore for all that extra storage. But so is that me stepping out somewhere else, or is that where those the other souls that aren't able to take on a body, that they come in and check in for a moment in time to experience our physical experience because they haven't contracted to do it with a body? That they're like, so could that be like being a temporary surrogate?
Yes. Okay, I'll cover another piece for you.
Thank you.
We're taking out layers of onion skins here.
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
So when a soul drops in...
Okay, Lily, you'll have to mute out because you're echoing while he's talking. Sorry. Thanks.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. When a soul drops in, your soul leaves, Lily, and another soul drops in. And it may want to have a certain experience that it's important to it, but doesn't want to leave that part to be maintained as a reference point for when the soul returns, for example, or to leave its legacy or imprint of that particular experience. And again, this only relates to the experience, not the consciousness within the experience. So you may have an experience that is been stimulated. Let me put it that way. So it's stimulated in specifically for that particular soul. And when it's done, it's say, okay, this is not the pattern, the path that this particular the soul was using before. I'm not going to leave that much of an alteration. I will unplug that part, so it may just input to the brain not to archive it. It's always there. It's just archived, and not to make it readily available. And that's why this is not always the case. There are cases like that too, and this is what's happening in your case. So I did explain some of the things we were planning before, but at the same time, that's the other part. Now that you got me to fess up about it, tell you more about it, is that the soul itself may only utilize it for that drop-in, and then archive the information or the experience, because sometimes you won't even be able to access it at all, and even the players that played with you, because you have to understand there's another component to this. I know this can get really mind complex, but when that soul drops in, it will automatically transmit to ask for other players. Now, these players may be players that did not normally would play a specific role, but that particular soul needed that particular role played, so that other soul will interact and play a role. And once they played that role, it really doesn't, it still didn't suit for the soul that actually has the full embodiment. For example, in Elizabeth, 65%, it doesn't, so that interaction. So let me give you a simplified example. The soul does not require, there may be some programs and stuff, but does not require in its current state and also in its past life for someone to be nasty to them. So that soul leaves, and another soul drops in, and it didn't complete this whole thing of having a nasty experience or somebody being nasty to them. So it will solicit some other soul to play a particular role to be nasty to them. So it actually learns from that physicality how it represents nasty, and the soul will take that imprint and learn from it. I mean, there's more to that. I'm not going to give you all of it because we need a whole show to explain that part. But in essence, once the soul leaves, that nasty part does not serve to be remaining in the constant current memory in the conscious mind. For the other soul to step in and say, what the hell, why did I have that experience? Because the soul didn't need it, the one that comes back. And not to interfere, because there's a great honoring and respect for each journey and each embodiment. It's like, I'm going to use your house. I'm going to have a party there, and I'm going to make a mess while I'm having the party. But I'm going to clean up the house, because when you come back, it's not fair for you to come back to a messy house, because that's not your experience. You don't need that experience. But while I'm using your house, I'm going to have that wild party. And I'm going to mess it up, but then I'm going to clean it up. And that's how it is. The memory is actually cleaned up from that particular experience of that, say, somebody being nasty to them. I've given you a couple of simpler examples or analogies to relate. And that's how it kind of works. Hopefully you understand. Cool.
Yeah, that answers a lot, but it also brought up another question. So really what we're here, everyone in the physical body, we are temporary plug-ins or support systems, for example, for other souls that need certain experiences so that they can complete their cycle to fill up their bank of experiences.
Yes, right now, yes. It wasn't the case before, but it has been for a while now that it's more of that. But the thing is, the body becomes a multi-purpose. The body is not like it used to be before. Again, it's going to take a while, but I'll go real fast. The body now becomes useful for other souls, so it's not just for specific one soul. It's been altered that way. I'm not saying everybody's. I'm saying there are more like that, but that's how it's been altered. This is where the words and how to explain it in layman terms becomes a bit of a challenge. How can I say that? Okay. We're not going to have an experience that your soul is involved unless it's completely agreed to and there's something out of it that it gets to play a specific role for someone's purpose only, for another aspect of yourself's purpose only. That does occur, but it's not the norm. So you may come around and you're having this experience, but you may place various roles for you to gain from, but those roles may be more pinnacle, more beneficial, much more, how could I say it, valuable for the recipient of that role. So that's kind of the other part of it that comes into play. Without getting into too much depth, hopefully that brings some clarity.
Yeah, I feel like I understand that.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That was great, Franco.
You're welcome. I think I saturated everybody already.
Oh, saturated. Really quick. This is just for me personally. I'm the one that asked the question about the stigmatisms at the conference. Mm-hmm. How can I heal that stigmatism? And James answered it by, he said that there's energy that's blocked from your coccyx bone to your neck bone, your spinal cord actually, and some, healing energy some things that need to be healed in your liver, right? Mm-hmm. So I just been doing 828, merge with my liver, 828, merge with my spinal cord, so I can get rid of my stigmatisms. Is that what I do, or?
Yes.
Is that what he meant? Because the energies from the eyes go all the way up the spinal cord to the... Go ahead.
Yes. One of the things that blocks you is getting caught up in your world. So in essence, the energy doesn't always flow, and that's why it tends to create that. So in essence, when you're doing the 828 merging, just allow that flowing through you. Don't even judge it, because it'll create a block. Don't try to expect it to change, because that will make it sluggish. So just when you're in it, you call it merge and just let it be. And you're just, and allow the energies to flow through you. Just be that kind of that open vessel as the energy flows through you. And at some point you feel much stronger, in a sense where you feel more confident. And I'm not talking about an egotistic confidence. It's more of an inner knowing. Mm-hmm. You may have the soul in you that knows how to deal with that much easier, so that at that time it might even be much more powerful when you do it.
Okay, yeah, because I did that the other night, and I noticed when I laying down, before sleep, when I'm really relaxed, I can feel that hurts energy, like I'm becoming one with it, if I really become like a sponge. Yeah. So just to encourage everybody, once again, I'll use me, oh my God, I'm feeling my world. You can't get nothing done, nothing. You got a list to do, and you can't even prioritize anymore. How do I let go of that? How do we let go? And it seems like everything needs to be done to live in your life. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's a tough one. It's a tough one. Again, in a sense, you got to just kind of flow with whatever. You may
just go with the experience it, and you figure it out yourself as you go, right?
Yes, and it's like what gets done, what doesn't. You'll know what becomes priority and what is less priority. It's not about racing to get it all done at once, because again, it doesn't work that way, and
that's my problem.
Be able to. Yes, exactly. So it's more of, okay, let's see what we're ready for today, and let's do this part, and then we'll do that part. And it's not a race, and that's what you need to remind yourself. It's not a race, but you're not there to leisurely go to sleep time to time, because you'll get your little wake up calls or your ass kicked a little bit or something to get you keep going. So
Okay.
But you got to be easier on you, because you're a little bit hard on yourself at times.
Yeah, but everything's a priority. So how do you Maybe that's just the way we think, right? We just got to do a paradigm shift.
It's what the mind thinks it's all priority, right?
Yeah.
In a sense. So you need to see, okay. And the priority is just, okay, what feels more conducive to work on today? Or
what feels more natural to my heart, right?
There you go. Perfect.
So you take all these priorities you can't do anymore. You're just going to have to now. That's teaching us to go to our heart with everything, I suppose.
Yes.
Cool. Well, Franco, I will see you again. Thank you for so much insight. Wow. That, helps us a lot, I'm sure, for everybody says that. We'll see you again October
25th, I think, right?
25th with you and Julian. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, that'll be interesting for sure.
It's going to be more than that. It's going to be Julian, who he brings with him, and you, who you bring with, and all of us now that we found out what we found out, who we all bring with us, huh? It's going to be a party.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You took the words out of my mouth. Party time.
Party time.
It's going to be interesting, because it's not going to be limited to the human physicality there. It's going to be, yes. All right. That'll be fun.
So leave us with like 2 or 3 words that describe things that in our life every day we should just think of as we're going about our life in these energies that are important.
Well, I always emphasize play with everything. Don't take it so serious. Don't get so caught up in every little detail. Don't rush either. But at the same time, just follow what feels the next. And if you only get a part of it done, and it needs to stop for a while, that's okay.
Okay.
If you feel different time to time, that's okay too, because there's other energies flowing through you, other souls dropping in at times. I'm not saying this happens to everybody, but there are more and more that are
right.
in that state. It's just flow with it. It's just embrace every part of it.
And enjoy, right?
And the thing is too, one of the key components here is that we are here to let go of the old. So be okay letting go. Really be okay letting go. Just let stuff go. We have so much stuff that we put so much importance on, the way things should be, people, outcomes, and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. It becomes a big anchor, and that's fine. You can hold on to the anchor. You can drag it along for a little while, but you'll notice if you want to fly, you need to let it go. And just let it go. Just flow.
Wow, thank you.
That's the simplistic state of it.
And then you said a good important point too. We don't have to do the same thing we did, same way we did things the same way anymore. Just think the word paradigm, right? Paradigm shift.
Exactly.
Different way of doing things, different way of seeing things, and your experiences.
It's actually natural to do it differently, because we're different.
Okay.
We're changing every moment. A lot of times the mind says, no, we're not. But we are. We are changing. Each time our soul leaves and comes back, it's enriched. And it comes in very different. Each soul that drops in is very different. We're changing all the time. You can't hold, there's nothing consistent. Not even our timeline's consistent. Everything is created moment by moment. Everything is fluid. Everything is malleable. That's why the times move around. It's not that we're switching timelines. We're just modifying things constantly, because we're just in that flux. We're just in that movement. That's it.
Yes. And then at the same time as we're letting go and going with the flow, at the same time, like James and Franco said, the energies of happiness, and others have said, happiness is coming. We're going to be happy. We won't even know why we're happy. And don't fight against it like is a natural thing. Like, I feel guilty. I'm so happy. No, just be happy. Or the other contrast, people get really frustrated till they're ready to let go, too.
Yeah, the thing is, the level of happy that you actually experience is like such a blissful, powerful joy that you feel like you're about to explode out of your skin, but at the same time you're enjoying being in
it. Glory. Yes. Wow. Thank you so much, Franco. And you can stay with us if you like. I'm not going to finish reading the astrology. You guys can go read that. I blogged it on Wednesday, September 24th. It says an October surprise, or a very surprising October, September 2014. Oh, Franco, this is so good. I enjoyed it so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Blessings of love, peace, and joy, turning to bliss and beyond to you, Franco, DeNicola, and your family.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you also for Lily and Belinda and Bev and all the other beautiful souls that have participated and have had to share, even if they didn't say anything. They heard exactly what they needed to hear, and thank you for now being out there and shifting everything around you.
Absolutely, because we expanded not only this group and the ones that will listen to it, but we expanded collective consciousness today, didn't we?
Not only have we expanded on a personal level, we expanded collectively, but we've actually altered our operating system and even our energy fields. You're from this show, and I know all experiences are enhanced, but you took a huge leap. This is a huge leap. And each time you replay it back and you dwell in it, it takes you into another level of leap of how upgraded you have activated yourself. So
wow.
This is not just, more information for the mind. It actually stimulates the soul, shifts your subconscious mind, stimulates and shifts your conscious mind, but also energizes you and actually creates alters every part of the cell of your body and every memory within it.
Glory. And now that I know what you shared with us today for the first time, Franco, I have to thank all those souls I allowed to come in to share. Thanks for coming in and going out and coming in. Yeah, thank you. Now we'll finish up the show with like a 20-minute. Cynthia's reading the astrology and it just summarizes all we talked about, and it's going back to the now moment of the energy, the foundation that's building since September 21st, and these next 3 months. And it explains the contrast of, the let go, let flow stuff, and then the happiness and peace and all of that integrating together. So enjoy. Here we go.
And when I opened my book to read 0 degrees Scorpio, which is where this is happening, on October 23rd, because that's the chart he's looking at. The new beginning, which is October 23rd. The book opened up to the exact place where Pluto is in this chart. And remember how I just read that Pluto is the evolutionary force? Well, guess what Pluto is? Okay, it is in this chart 12 degrees Capricorn. Let me read you the evolutionary force. This is the heavenly host of Arimahala, the angels of divine emotion. Beloved, we help the children of light merge with feelings of the divine virtues, the feelings that attract heaven to earth. We help attune to specific feelings and emotions that attract whatever is needed in any situation. As angels of highly refined divine emotions, we help the divine qualities of enlightenment take form. Each divine quality is linked to and is inextricably intertwined with an ethereal state of such pure and perfect cosmic emotion that limits are completely transcended and miracles become possible. Since all emotions are magnetic and attract materialization on the physical plane, the emotions of cosmic qualities, turn the page here, are required to attract and maintain heaven on earth. In the time of the Alpha and the Omega, these high emotions are necessary. A successful world server uses the magnetic power of high divine emotion to attract specific changes in the quantum field. The frequencies of these feelings maintaining a state of enlightenment, motivation, and enthusiasm. Elements that are needed, whether in a person's character or in a situation that needs healing, are attracted by flowing emotions appropriate to that element, using the power of the word, which is whole brain desire, thought, emotion, and visualization. Like colors in a rainbow, different gradations of energy merge gradually from one to another. When a desired situation is visualized and contemplated, with the appropriate emotions of it already happening, it is attracted into physical manifestation. The most subtle and refined energy is consciousness permeating all, the Akashic element of pure being, which is reached in the deep delta brainwave state of pure being. When the stillness of being begins to move, it becomes will, visualization, and intent. For the cosmic Akashic element, we inspire flowing emotions of union and oneness, of vastness, of transcendence, of timelessness, of infinity, of omniscience, of omnipotence, of omnipresence, of samadhi, of connection, and all such flowing emotions. While the Akasha is the slowest brainwave pattern, the still small voice, the peace, the pathos understanding. Will and intention and visualization is the higher end of the frequency of this delta state. Will and intention and visualization are electric, creative, masculine energy that evoke flowing feelings that will attract out of the quantum field of infinite possibilities the birth of heaven realities into form. For the hot fire element, the spiritual principle of will, visualization, intention, and desire, we inspire beautiful flowing emotions like unlimited power, resoluteness, intensity, leadership, strength, certainty, faith, and courage. For the light air element, which is the mental realms of thoughts and ideas, the theta brainwave state, we inspire flowing emotions of clarity, of ease and relaxation, astuteness, genius, reflectivity, precision, inquisitiveness, curiosity, brilliance, understanding, ingenuity, insightfulness, creativity, lightness, eloquence, musical ability, relaxation, and so on. For the cool water element, the realm of flowing emotion, which is the alpha brainwave state, we bring flowing emotions of receptivity, flowing fluidity, change, transformation, love, empathy, gratitude, nurturance, mercy, peace, grace, compassion, birthing, faith, bliss. And for the heavy earth element, the realm of matter, the beta brainwave state, there are flowing emotions of responsibility, of holding, of absorption, of ownership, of groundedness, of solidity, of permanence, of patience, of beauty, of appreciation, of valuing, of protectiveness and cohesion. At this time, we're helping people overcome one of the greatest barriers to reaching high divine flowing emotions through meditation. It is difficult or impossible for a person to be successful in spiritual practices and flow with the emotions of divinity when they are already overcome with emotional pain. The strong gravitational pull of the lower emotions, of fear, of betrayal, of shock, of anger, jealousy, and so forth, when they are dominant, is a situation that has traditionally stifled both spiritual teachers and their students. When a seeker has gone into seclusion to seek ecstatic transformation, perhaps via a spiritual retreat process, and been totally unable to escape the flowing feelings of everyday worries and stress, the reason can usually be traced to powerful emotions stemming from earlier traumas that are being stored subconsciously in the body. Becoming triggered emotionally into old painful feelings may indeed be the primary reason the seeker feels the need for doing this spiritual practice in the first place, as a way to feel better. Trying to overcome painful emotions is inefficient and usually completely ineffective, especially if the triggered emotions are tapping into powerful early traumas from childhood or gestation, conception, or a difficult birth. And this happens to most people quite often. Unfortunately, many gurus urge the seeker to try harder, to exercise greater control, to overcome these lower emotions by dint of will. This advice is self-defeating because the lower emotions, being coarser and heavier, exert stronger vibratory influence than do the more refined, lighter spiritual states and their flowing emotions. But the fact they are in one's awareness exerting such a powerful influence indicates it is time to heal them. Bypassing or suppressing them is similar to deadening the pain of a physical wound instead of cleaning it out and allowing it to heal. In a battle for the seeker's attention between the higher and lower emotions, the lower emotions win every time, especially if they are strong. Whenever anyone is trapped in emotions of betrayal, pain, anger, fear, greed, cruelty, selfishness, lust, suffering, contempt, hopelessness, destruction, hatred, need, sadness, shame, sorrow, the seeker has two viable options. One is to process the emotions, and the other is to ask the heavenly host for help. It is most desirable to do both. The first and best intervention is to acknowledge and express the triggered emotions in a safe and non-destructive way, choosing to love them unconditionally instead of fearing them, resisting them, or feeling guilty about them or acting them out destructively. Love itself is the greatest transformational power there is, and emotions transform quickly compared to any other way when they are exposed to love and empathy and compassion. This type of unconditional, encompassing love works the same way with one's own emotions as it does with an upset or fearful child. The child does not want to feel and emote fear or upsetness. It wants to feel good. So when the upset or fearful child is loved unconditionally and its emotions are respected and validated, it is natural and easy for the child's emotions to transform so that he or she feels comforted and loved and at peace once again. In the same way do all emotions, by their nature, seek to be blissful. Supreme happiness is omnipresent, and emotions in life naturally flow towards the light when they are allowed to, in an atmosphere of love instead of resistance or denial. By love and patience with wounded emotions, they naturally process, transform, and work their way through to resolution. When emotions are felt, they are changed. It is their nature to change and flow, being the water element, being the alpha brainwave. As they change, insights into the original causes and effects of the original wounding events arise naturally from the psyche, bringing permanent insights and healing and greater awareness into any negative or limiting belief systems connected to these traumas and the original events that caused them. Then, through the power of the Word, which is whole brain awareness, controlling one's state of being, one's desires, thoughts, visualizations, emotions, a child of light learns to attune to and bring through whatever divine qualities with their attendant emotions to change any situation. Emotions are the key to change on the material plane. By meditating on divine qualities, by visualizing a virtue's color combined with feelings enlivened by intoning its musical note, along with imagined sensations of this divine quality, calls forth changes in a seeker's consciousness and being, and develops needed elements in their character, and also changes outer circumstances according to inner guidance. This is all operating on the quantum field. This is the principle of attunement, of meditation, of conscious mastery of the attention and the focus, of the will, of the mind, of the feelings, which is entering the vibratory reality of a divine reality. A phenomena is sometimes referred to as entering into the presence. If one way can be singled out, this is the fast track to enlightenment. As a person releases what is no longer serving the highest good, he or she learns the virtue of transformation. There are many mystical and miraculous skills we teach concerning the command of high emotion when meditating on divine virtues. For example, we have inspired practices such as those called wazifas, or ancient affirmations in Islam that are toned and codified different godly qualities, as well as attunement to beings who are the exemplars of these qualities. The consciousness of all beings and virtues can be accessed directly in meditation by asking for and being open to a divine quality or divine person or teacher or angel or guide. By being receptive to and totally absorbed into the energy of the divine quality such as love or wisdom, or a realized being who has attained high awareness and blissful emotions. The consciousness and emotional selves are influenced in a wonderful way. This is vertical networking with the heavenly host, similar to mentorship on the physical plane, where a person works closely with a teacher and benefits from their emotions and influence directly. The more a seeker is able to completely identify with the emotions of a divine state or divine teacher, the greater the growth in the seeker. This is the powerful benefit of meditation. What you concentrate on and feel, you become. So this, according to what we read just before this, Pluto is the guide of evolution. And this, oh wait, there's a little bit more. Let me finish reading. This is the driving force, is this emotional clearing and cleansing that we're going to be going through. The awesome implications for making changes in one's life are only limited by the level of the seeker's motivation and the ability to surrender to the flow of emotions of divine qualities, or a realized being to be emulated. As this process flows in meditation, the splendor and majesty of divinity are remembered and attained. Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all else shall be added unto you. The kingdom of heaven is found within. Wisdom and glory are the final outcome of encompassing high emotional states. We help with the process of clearing lower emotions. Especially are we present at the stage where they are beginning to be transmuted into higher realms through flowing. We can be called on very effectively for inspiration, protection, and guidance in the process of entering heightened realms of emotional healing. We show you how to allow negative emotions to flow and cleanse themselves safely and fully. We are with you every step of the way as emotional energy is healed, purified, and lifted into higher realms. By calling on the heavenly host and asking for whatever assistance you need, going within to that still quiet place of the heart, of inner consciousness and utter purity, receiving guidance and inspiration, and loving all emotions in yourself and others with unconditional love, it is possible to rise to the most blessed state of divine emotion. Man, I'm telling you what, that's just Pluto, folks. I mean, oh my God. When you look at the chart and the aspects they're making, we've said this so many times. Everybody's just going, yeah, right, we've heard this a million times. But you know what? I really think this is the time. I read on one blog, I haven't had it correlated very much. I did correlate it to a few other respected people, that the photon belt is affecting Earth as of the last few days or few weeks more directly than it ever has before. And in secret experiments in Germany, right around the beginning of the 1950s, when we first began to enter the very fringes of the photon belt, because entering the photon belt is like on a rainbow where you go from red to orange or orange to yellow. It's a gradual thing. It's like going from day to night or night to day. The light fades and, it's kind of gradual. What the scientists call the photon belt was excited electron matter. That was their word for it, and that was translated from German into English by a guy who only spoke Spanish. It was translated from German to Spanish, and the guy who translated it from Spanish to English used a dictionary. He didn't speak English as a native, he didn't know English. So the terminology, the translation was awkward, but the terminology he used was excited electron matter. And, of course, back then in those days, there were very cruel experiments done of all kinds. Well, they created a lead-shielded room with a glass window with scientists peering in, and they were able to reproduce an excited electron matter into the room, and they exposed plants and people and animals to this excited electron matter, and then they did experiments on them. And I'm not making this up. It sounds Star Trek, the movie. They put plants in there and subjected the plants to all kinds of stressors, and the plants thrived. They put animals and people in there and subjected the animals and people to high doses of radioactivity and all kinds of horrible things. And the animals and the people thrived. It's like if you Google fire walking, where people walk on hot coals and they'll get burned. It was just like that. I mean, not only did nothing get hurt, everything thrived. The comment in the translation was that it seemed that the animals and the humans would absorb the radioactivity and convert it into food. I mean, that's a whole lot like people walking on hot coals and not getting burnt. So anyway, I met a guy, oh gosh, it was...
So those angels, the names of them, I just call on those angels to help me through this transition. And you guys can too, because they inspire happiness and all that. Help us with our emotions, which the other part of the energy wave, is going to bring up all the emotions so we can let go and flow and ride the wave. And the other part of the energy wave is on that reading. But these angels help us with the happiness and bringing back our emotions to balance, our supernatural natural selves. So yay! I'm just wondering if I should read the other part so you guys can know, about the stuff we're going to go through too. And in the meantime, still experience what Cynthia just read too. If we can let go and let it flow, like Franco's been talking about. Oh, let's see. To read. So let me just read it so it's all together. So that part, the happiness and help and heal the emotions. And this is why we need that at the same time, because this will be going on. Let me just finish reading that so it's complete, and then we'll be done. This is continuing that reading I was reading earlier regarding the 2 eclipses and the astrology and the energies here. It's starting September 21st. And the part you just heard was from Cynthia. That's going on at the same time as this. When Mercury opposed retrograde, Uranus, on 9/13, the energies of the lower mind clashed with the energies of the higher mind. Both battled for control of our being. This caused another round of difficult and often painful emotional purging and life turmoil. Some of this would have spilled over into adverse psychosomatic events and unfortunate or objectionable behavior. The already major inflow of energy at the equinox is dramatically augmented by Pluto's station. The Pluto station will produce a prolonged and concentrated stream of pure Pluto energy, nothing to be trifled with. Pluto drives spiritual evolution. The energies of this equinox will have special spiritual evolutionary force. The Moon-Pluto trine, exact earlier in the day, will help channel all of this energy into the battle between our lower and higher selves. It will push things in a sharply spiritual evolutionary direction with a rare degree of power. When the Sun opposes retrograde Uranus, our ego will battle with our higher self for control of our personality. Sun opposite retrograde Uranus will subject our personality to pressure from the higher self to completely transcend the ego. Also, the forces of change out there in the world will tend to work against us. So this is why we need these happiness feelings to come in to go through that, to balance our emotions, what Cynthia just read. Venus opposition is retrograde Uranus and will expose our personal and social ties to the energies of Uranus and our higher self. This series of oppositions to retrograde exposes each facet of our personality to the full force of Uranus. The retrograde motion will focus the effects all the more strongly at the unconscious psychological level. This in turn will set off a cascade, a chain reaction of profound spiritual and psychological changes. Our entire inner and outer identity would have been powerfully affected by the transformative powers of Uranus, and these will have dramatic knock-on effects in the real world at all levels. And this is in October stuff. October's 2 eclipses. Meanwhile, the 2 eclipses in October will create an unbridgeable gap between the person we used to be and the person we are becoming, between the world we lived in and the world we will live in. The almost unavoidable outcome of so much activity in the fourth house must certainly be very profound and utterly irreversible psychological changes on a global scale. Both of October's eclipses take place in the fourth house. The fourth house is the house of our deepest psychology. It is the moon's natural house. It is also the threshold between soul and personality. It is the place where spirit meets the unconscious and conscious minds, where they communicate with and affect each other. The opposition to retrograde Uranus tell us that these psychological and spiritual changes will be unusually deep and lasting. They will most assuredly mark a point of no return. 0 point energetics. 0 of a sign, especially a cardinal sign, is considered a high energy point. The 4 main angles of the chart, ascendant, imam, Kohli, descendant, and midpoint, are considered very sensitive points in the chart. What happens at these points strongly affects the totality of a chart. In October's composite chart, each of the major angles is conjoined by 0 degrees of a cardinal sign. Hence, in addition to everything else going on, this chart will be supercharged with high energy, the energy of brilliant new beginnings. The result will be a kind of jump start on the future. The train of the past will be separated from the engine of the future, which will then accelerate rapidly. And then it says behavior modification. All of us will be asked to break down and release some very deeply embedded pattern before we can move forward. Meanwhile, 2 eclipses will intervene. Eclipses mark the boundary between both energetic and karmic phases. They mark an energetic threshold, as you know. They also mark a karmic threshold. After an eclipse, we pay a much higher price and face far greater resistance for behavior based on bad patterns than we did before the eclipse. And the first eclipse is October 8th. Given the sheer quantity of the spiritual evolutionary power being released now, the penalty exacted for continuing flawed behavior patterns will be usually serious and swift. If you add the turmoil created by karmic adjustments and settlements to the turmoil created by the inner spiritual and psychological changes, you are taking about a lot of turmoil and a lot of change. Major spiritual evolutionary inflection point. Eclipses are meant to be inflection points. An unusual amount of power was released at the equinox. October's chart is also a surprisingly powerful chart, and the whole setup has a clearly spiritual evolutionary look to it. Almost done. Hence, October looks to be a major spiritual evolutionary inflection point. This should be clearly reflected in our personal lives and in world events. Both our personal lives and the course of world events will have taken off in a sharply different direction by the end of October. Written by Carl Bordeaux. So there you have that in a nutshell. At the same time we're going through these emotional healings, and remember the angel said to embrace those and don't resist them, to just let them heal. And going through the turmoil and balancing our emotions, we're going through that. We're also getting these happiness energies. We're going to get happy, and we won't even know where that came from. And that's helping us, like the angels, that reading said, those happiness is going to help us go through these hard times, I guess, our changes, our last bit of healing. So there you go. It's really good, you guys, really interesting. It's been a fantastic call, and we will see you next Saturday. Lily, do you have anything you want to say really quick?
No, I just want to say thank you, and thanks to Franco. Thank you, Liz, and everyone's a diamond.
And we're signing. We're completely out of the coal soon, next 3 months or so.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, dear. Love you and love everybody, and keep being that diamond you guys are. We'll see you next Saturday, which is, what's next Saturday? October 4th. Isn't it? Wow. It'll be 4 days before the eclipse. Who are we having? We're having Raymond with his 32 ET contacts with his father and his grandfather. That's going to be astounding, too. So we're starting that relationship, you guys. Love you. This is reference number 167 pound. You can go to the recorded line 255-1099. And the same PIN number. You came in here, and I'll post the link like I always do. So love you, Franco. Love you, Lily. Love you, everybody. And all those listening in, galactic-wise, universal-wise. Love you, too. And
love
thanks
you guys.
for coming. Yeah. Who's this?
It's Franco.
Oh, yeah, that's you. Okay. Yeah, we'll see you guys. We'll see you soon, and see you in our travelings, too, right?
Absolutely.
In other words.
For having me on your show and for all the awesome work that you do, both yourself and Lily.
All right. Thanks a lot. Enjoy the day, guys.
Bye for now.
Bye.